podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, May 8th, 2022. Happy Mother's Day. This is episode 1892. Enjoy. This episode of the Tech Guy is brought to you by Blue Land. Stop wasting water and throwing out more plastic. Get Blue Land's revolutionary refill cleaning system instead. Right now, you can get 20% off your first order when you go to blueland.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got your smartphones, we got your smart watches, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. I am in Northern California, but Google, for some reason, thinks I'm in Wilkes-Barre, PA. All I wanted to do was watch the Kentucky Derby. Boy, you know, Google's really gone downhill. Am I wrong? Google has really gone downhill. The search engine's still, okay. It's gotten worse. There's a lot more junk in it, and, a lot more greed. And it's certainly clear that Google is under no obligation to protect our privacy anymore. And in fact is actively seeking to prevent us from doing the same for ourselves. But I subscribed foolishly, perhaps, to YouTube TV. It was kind of a cable substitute. $65 a month, that's, cable TV territory. But I got the locals and all of that. And then foolishly, when the Olympics were on last winter, I spent another $20 a month for 4K, even though there's very limited 4K content on there, mostly the Olympics. But that's $85 a month. Now we're really talking some money. And I should have paid more attention because about 2 months ago, Google started to say, hey, you're in Wilkes-Barre again. No, I'm not in Wilkes-Barre. But there seemed to be no way to tell it otherwise. I don't know why it thought I was. It had something to do with locations, permissions or something. I don't know. Probably, I'm thinking, had something to do with the all the stuff I run for my privacy, like VPNs and uBlock Origin and NextDNS and all that stuff to protect me from advertisers snooping on everything I'm doing. I don't think Google likes that so much. Kept saying, you're in Wilkes-Barre, PA. I said, no, I'm here in the Bay Area. No, you're in Wilkes-Barre, PA. Well, finally today, I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to watch the Kentucky Derby, and it said, no, you can't watch anymore because you're in Wilkes-Barre, PA, or you're supposed to be. Your home is in Wilkes-Barre, PA, but you seem to keep being in the Bay Area. Well, yeah, because when I signed up, that's where I was. I have never left. In fact, the last 2 years, I haven't spent a lot of time traveling, and I've never been to Wilkes-Barre, PA, ever. So I thought, well, no problem. I'll go to tech support. You know where this is going. If you have any issue, it says there's a link on the page. Contact us. I clicked that link. It takes you to a bunch of useless suggestions, and there is no other way to contact them. Now, I understand if you're not paying Google for a service like Gmail or Google Search, you can't really expect them to offer much support. It's expensive. But I'm giving them $85 a month. I think I should get at least a little bit. I mean, as much as I would get from Comcast. Nothing. Then I tried to cancel. Oh, good luck. It seems to have decided that since I am insisting on being in the Bay Area, even though I clearly live in Wilkes-Barre, PA, it's not going to let me cancel. Wow. I've been for a long time, I've been mentioned, when we talk about email. Oh, yeah, use Gmail. It's free. But every once in a while we'll get the calls. Remember the very nice person who called and said she went to Google's offices in Irvine and banged on the door because they'd taken away her account and she couldn't find it. There was no way to talk to a human. She banged. Nobody came to the door in Irvine. Maybe there's somebody in there, maybe not. I don't know. But they sure as heck aren't going to the door if somebody's banging on it. Yeah. Yeah. I think Google has, I don't know the wheels are coming off, aren't they? My friend Mike Elgin, who's been a Google watcher and like me, a Google fan since the early years, he was a big promoter of Google Plus, which is Google's failed social network. He was all in on that. I guess he learned a lesson. He says the problem is the CEO, the guy at the top of Alphabet, Sundar Pichai, is terrible. And I said, well, come on, how bad can he be? But here's a company that really should own the world at this point, and instead the wheels just seem to be falling off. It's too bad. I'm going to have to stop recommending YouTube TV and Gmail. I guess, what are you going to do there? You could use DuckDuckGo. That's another search engine. Probably will start using that. It's kind of hard to get out of the Googleverse, though. People have tried. Was it Kashmir Hill who a couple of years ago did a New York Times piece on, trying to get big tech out of her life, including Google, and failing miserably? This is probably cause for concern. They're so tightly embedded in everything we do that it's almost like you can't get out of it. You can't. Yeah, I know. People in the chat room are, well, there's all these support pages. I went to all those support pages. Believe me, trust me, I'm not an idiot. In fact, I'm the tech guy. And this is what's really comes home to me is it's hard if a person who spends his life, as I do, immersed in technology, using it at a high level, I believe, writing my own code and things. If I can't navigate it, I don't know how any normal person is going to. And support.google.com/YouTube. Yeah, sure. Good luck on that one. We've always joked that Google support is a bunch of Python scripts, programming scripts, and I think it's true. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. Let's see what else. Oh, I will tell you something Google won't like. Firefox 100 came out. Firefox is the also-ran browser. I feel bad for them. They're slowly going down the charts. Google is, again, another place where Google is totally dominant. Google Chrome is the vast majority of browsing. You probably use it. Most people do. Edge is number 2 because it comes with Windows. It's the default with Windows. Safari is number 3 because it comes with iPhone and Macintosh. So it's kind of the default. So people, who haven't changed browsers are still using the browser that came with the operating system. Everybody else seems to be using Chrome. But I'm a fan of Firefox for no other reason that it's nice to have variety. We don't want to live in a monoculture where Google dominates completely. Competition is good for us as users. It may not be good for Google, but it's good for us as users. So I use Firefox. Firefox 100 just came out. And there's an interesting little switch that you can turn on. And Google's not going to like this. This is a switch that Google has continuously avoided putting in. There used to be a switch called Do Not Track. Remember that? Which, as it turned out, Do Not Track was a lie. A lie. You would switch that thing in your browser and everybody ignore it. Well, there's something with some power now behind it, a stick as well as a carrot behind it, thanks to the EU and GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, a privacy law that has come into effect. Actually, it's been in effect since 2018. And one of the things it's supposed to do is enforce global privacy. And boy, was the EU smart when they did this, because instead of the traditional slap on the wrist fines that you get here in the U.S. if you ire the Federal Trade Commission, their fines can go up to 10% of your global revenue, like billions of dollars. 10% of your global revenue. That's designed to hurt. That's designed to hurt. So they've got this global privacy control that they're enforcing, and now California is enforcing through its CCPA with some severe fines. Oh, so companies can't ignore it, as they did Do Not Track, when you turn on this setting. Where, you may say, is the setting? Well, at least right now, it's hidden away. I don't think Google will ever implement it in Chrome, but you can get it in Firefox. Now, it's a little tricky, so I'm going to put this in the show notes. But if you want to follow along at home, you open your Firefox browser and you go to the configuration page, the hidden configuration page. You do that by typing in the address about:config. About:config. It says, proceed with caution. Proceed with caution. Accept the risk and continue. That's fine. Go ahead. This is not risky. Leo said you could do this. Unless, well, it might risk your YouTube TV. I don't know. It's going to risk Google's ire. If you type in global privacy in the search, you'll get two settings. Global privacy controlled enabled. Global privacy control functionality enabled. Now, right now, it's disabled. It's false. But over on the right, there's a little double-headed arrow. You click that, it turns it into true. Suddenly, you have turned your browser into a privacy protection superhero. And you can verify that if you go to globalprivacycontrol.org, which is the homepage for this initiative out of the EU and California. At the top, it'll say, if you've turned it on, GPC signal detected. Now, what that means is you've told the browser to tell any site you go to, I want privacy. Do not track me at the risk of a severe penalty. That's the change, right? We had Do Not Track before, but there's no penalty, so everybody said, yeah, right. Excellent, Smithies. Now, I'm thinking, they're going to have to pay attention because it's 10% of your global revenues, kids. That's a lot of money for the Goog. Pay attention when I say don't collect information about me. It's probably one of the reasons I have to cancel my subscription to YouTube TV. But we want to know what you're doing. Leo, how are we supposed to give you advertisements? For a long time, I thought it was about advertisements. It was. But lately, it's been about more than that because we've seen, in the case of Google, Apple, Snapchat, and others, hackers being able to trick them into giving out personal information that they've been collecting for doxing purposes. Teenagers looking to follow around other teenagers have been able to call Google, or email Google, pretend to be law enforcement, and Google goes, yeah, what do you want to know? No warrant, nothing. I just like to know her home address. Oh, no problem. Here, we have it. And that's that. So suddenly and of course, law enforcement can do this as well, and government can do this as well. There was a story about data brokers the other day that terrified me. Data brokers selling information about who was visiting Planned Parenthood clinics. $167. Vice got it, the website. $167. You can get a list of everybody who's visited a Planned Parenthood clinic over the last week. That's all. No warrant, nothing. So suddenly this becomes important, doesn't it? So just to mention, I'll put a link in the show notes. You can turn this privacy protection on. I know it's not enough. It's just a start, but we need to start doing this, I think. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free in the U.S. or Canada outside that area. You can use Skype out. Website, techguylabs.com. Hey, Mr. Sam Abuelsamid, how are you?
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I'm good. I'm living in Wilkes-Barre, PA, and I didn't even know it.
So I've heard. So you're like only an hour away from where Paul is. I looked it up on the map.
I could go visit Lower Macungie.
Yeah, it's only an hour from Lower Macungie.
Maybe Paul's been using my YouTube TV.
You know, or if he hasn't, you could give him your login and have him cancel it for you if you want.
I started to see
cancel
this
it from California.
It's ridiculous. I wrote him a nasty note. I started to see this when we were trying to watch the football playoffs. So that was last December here, and so maybe we have something that's defeating the location stuff here. Anyway, and then I've never been able to fix it. And it says you can only change your home address twice, and you've changed it more than twice, so stop. It's like I've never changed it.
You got any kind of VPN or DNS?
Oh, I have all sorts of things, and that should be none of Google's business. I log in, to Google. I have NextDNS running, and I have. But here, I don't know. The funny thing is, it was here that it happened. That at first thought I was in Wilkes-Barre. So, I don't think we're doing anything weird. We're normal business. I think it's a flaw in their system, to be honest. And I'm really disappointed if I can't watch the Miami Grand Prix. I'll have to TiVo it.
Well, you can always sign up for the F1 streaming service and watch it that way.
Yeah. I think really the problem is Google. If you ever have trouble with Google, you're out of luck.
Well, my wife, one of her Pixel Buds was dying last week, and I got online and got into a chat with a Google support rep, and they quickly set me up with a replacement unit.
Nice.
So
nice.
That worked out all right.
Yeah, I have to say I've been happy up to now, but I haven't had a lot of problems. So I'm following there. Open the YouTube app on your smart TV, gaming console, streaming device, select profile icon, location, current playback area, update, mobile device, open the YouTube TV app, blah, blah, blah. Clearly, their location verification stinks.
East Coast is asking in the chat if I have any recommendations on a car that doesn't get flats. Well, it doesn't really matter what car you have.
When are they going to do solid wheels? Solid tires.
There are some stuff. There's some stuff being done. Not so much with solid, because you wouldn't want a solid rubber tire, because it's got to have some compliance.
Yeah.
To get traction, and also for ride comfort.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought.
Wish somebody would take me to dinner. I'm hungry.
Oh, Kim. Oh, she's a lady. Kim Schaffer, the unbreakable phone angel. That's a theme. This is a good theme. I like Tom Jones.
I love this song.
Yeah. Tom Jones probably could not have gotten away with his act in modern times. But we can look back on it.
Isn't he one of the ones that girls throw things on the stage too?
Yes, their underwear. Yes. But again, I don't know if you can do that nowadays. Times have changed.
Times have changed. I worked for a Spanish radio station, and we gave away thong underwear as one of the swag from the radio station. Yes, and this was in 2006, 2007, 2008.
Holy moly.
I'm thinking that, I don't know. They have their own set of rules.
Everything's changed. Kim, my dear, who should
I would love to go to our good friend Julian, because he always has
Julian Vargas.
Has a lot of information, and he heard a call yesterday that
techjv.com. See, I've learned his address.
You have.
Thank you, Kim. Hello, Julian. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Good morning, Leo. And first of all, I'd like to wish all the mothers and mother figures out there very happy and well-deserved Mother's Day.
Oh, I was so caught up with my own woes, I forgot. Happy Mother's Day. You're right.
So yesterday at the very end of your show, you had the guy talking about astrophotography, and no, I can't help with anything about that. But he happened to mention something either about his dad or grandfather losing his vision and wanting to have access to the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah, this was actually, he had called about it months ago. One thing we tried was, of course, the Wall Street Journal podcast, but he can't hardly read the header on that, so that's not working out. What do you got for him?
So there's a service called NFB Newsline. It's done by the National Federation of the Blind, and I believe the National Library Service for the Blind is involved in it. There's various entities that fund it. But this makes newspapers and magazines, it's like several thousand of them, I think, available free of charge to anybody who has any form of print impairment or deafblind or anything like that. And if you just Google NFB Newsline, you'll get to their site, or if you go to nfb.org and look for the link that says NFB Newsline, you'll get to it that way as well. And it explains what the service is, and there's various ways that you can access it. There is an iPhone app, unfortunately no Android app, but they do have an iPhone app that gives you access to that, as well as they include a very basic OCR capability. It lets you take pictures of something and have it read aloud to you. So that's one way. And then for people who don't want to do the smartphone, they have the old-fashioned telephone portal. You can literally call in and type in some numbers and read all kinds of newspapers, have them read to you over the phone via a computer, digitized voice. And through the Lady A, there is a skill you can enable there, and as long as you have credentials, once you've been approved for the service, you can set up your Lady A to read newspapers.
Wouldn't that be nice? So I could say, hey, you know who, read me the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah. I think you have to, call up the skill, NFB Newsline skill, and then tell it which paper you want.
That's a skill. Got it. NFB, of course, the National Federation of the Blind. That's the NFB in there, and nfb.org, and that's one of their programs. NFB Newsline. I'll put a link in the show notes. Thank you, jvtech.com.
You're welcome.
Julian Vargas. Tech JV. Darn it, so close. Thank you, Julian. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, Sam Abuelsamid car guy coming up. So close. So close.
That's okay.
Thank you, Julian. I appreciate
so welcome.
it. Have a great one. Take
You
care.
too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Sorry, Sam. I had to interrupt you.
No worries.
I'm sorry. So there are some cars with some kind of solid rubber tire, but it's not very good for the road.
It's not actually solid rubber. It's
pockets of
they're airless, non-pneumatic tires.
There you go.
Yeah, Michelin's been working on this for a while. I think Goodyear's got some. And basically, did you watch Westworld?
I did.
In the second season, you know those carts you saw running around, those off-road vehicles? Mm-hmm. They were on those airless tires. So if you think of it, you have basically an outer perimeter that's got the tread on it, and then where you would normally have a sidewall and then the pneumatic part, the air-filled part of it, basically it's got like flexible spokes, pliable spokes, and so that gives you some pliability to the wheel. And so that's what they Michelin calls theirs the Tweel, and they're actually testing them now on some of the autonomous mobility vehicles.
The Tweel. So see, I'm in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. Maybe it thinks I watch The Office so much it thinks I'm in Scranton. And current playback area unknown update. And I'm sure that's because we are protecting ourselves. And Google, I think this is Google's subtle way of saying, no, you can't not let us know everything about you. So let me see what I have turned on here.
I guess Michelin actually is selling the Tweel now
nice.
For off-road applications.
Nice.
Not for on-road, but for off-road vehicles.
Off-road. Well, see, but wouldn't that be even bumpier?
Yeah, but like I said, it's not a solid rubber wheel. I just dropped a link in the
I see
in the chat.
Yeah.
Tweel.michelinman.com. Nice. You can see what it looks like.
So would you not want to drive on those?
You can drive on them. They're a little more expensive than pneumatic tires right now. It's a matter of getting it to the point where it's got the load capacity and the handling capability for on-road tires.
Mm.
But yeah, the technology's out there. It's an interesting concept. I think Michelin first showed the wheel back about almost 15 years ago. I'm not sure when they actually started selling it.
So would you recommend I get a Tweel for my Ford? I'm not worried about flats, but
no, you can't buy them for on-road use.
Oh, that's right. You said off-road only.
Yeah. Just off-road.
Yeah. Why is that? Control?
They're not. Yeah, I mean, right now I think they don't necessarily have the durability, or they haven't been DOT approved, and they may not have the handling capability, the lateral load capability that typical vehicle tires have.
Mm-hmm.
I drove another electric Ford this week, but I can't.
I know which one you drove. Maybe I don't.
My drive impressions of the F-150 Lightning until Wednesday.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I have an F-150 hybrid in the driveway right now. That's what I want to talk about is hybrids.
Oh, nice. Okay. The Tech Guy program this week, I got to tell you, I love these guys. Brought to you by Blue Land. I am on a quest, Lisa and I are on a quest to eliminate single-use plastics in our life. Paper bags, buy our own grocery bags, bring them to the grocery store. We don't use Ziploc plastic bags anymore in the house. We use reusable silicone rubber bags and Tupperware and things like that. But there's one other area where we wanted to do better, and that's the plastic bottles for the hand soap, for the household cleaner, the plastic bottles for the dishwasher and the washing machine. And we found Blue Land, and I love Blue Land. Did you know that an estimated 5 billion with a B plastic hand soap and cleaning bottles are thrown away every year? And that's not the whole cost of them, because they're, the contents of those bottles, the soap, 90% water. So that means we're shipping water all over the country. Blue Land will stop doing that. Stop wasting water. Stop throwing out plastic, because Blue Land has a revolutionary refill cleaning system instead. And oh yes, it will save you money as well. Blue Land was founded on the belief a cleaner planet starts by eliminating plastic waste while creating powerful, effective cleaners for your entire home. We have Blue Land hand soap dispensers everywhere, beautiful, heavy glass bottles. And instead of sending us a new one or throwing it out when it's done, and you can get a replenishment, you could subscribe, or we just order these. These are the little tablets. You fill when you run out of hand soap, you fill the bottle with hot water, you put the tablet in, boom, more hand soap. Same thing for this. These are lighter weight because you're going to carry them around, so these are plastic, but you buy them once and you use them forever. This is the multi-surface cleaner. Same thing. You fill it up to here with water, warm water. You pop in the tablet. This is the multi-surface cleaner tablet. They have hand soap. They have plastic-free laundry and dishwasher tablets. They work great. We did a blind A/B comparison. Lisa says, I won't tell you when I'm using the old pods versus the new ones, and I couldn't tell the difference. And we save money, and we save plastics. We save the planet. Backed by popular demand, love these. The Blue Land toilet tablet cleaner. You throw it in, scrub the sinks and stuff, come back, scrub the toilet, you're done. It sells out every time because it works so well. And by the way, Blue Land stuff has they have scent free, of course, but they have amazing mild scents. Iris agave, perine lemon, lavender eucalyptus. For the holidays, all my hand soap smelled like peppermint and gingerbread because they had special holidays refills. I loved that. These stunning high-quality Forever bottles start at just $10 when you buy a kit. They're meant to be reused forever. The tablets start at just $2. You save money, you save the planet, and you don't lose the idea that, green solutions don't work as well. You get exactly the same quality. And it smells even better. Blue Land, try it today. You'll love it. Your planet will thank you. You can get 20% off your first order. Please do try it. BlueLand.com/techguy. 20% off your first order. Any Blue Land product. BLUELAND. I guess they couldn't call it Greenland because that's a whole country. BlueLand.com/techguy. It's like Greenland, but it's blue. BlueLand.com/techguy. Get the kit. It's a great housewarming gift, too, by the way. I did it for my daughter's new apartment. She was set, got everything she needed. Blue Land. Thank you, Blue Land, for supporting the Tech Guy show. BlueLand.com/Tech Guy. It's time for Sam Abuelsamid, our car guy. He is a principal researcher at Guidehouse Insights. He does the Wheel Bearings podcast at wheelbearings.media and wherever fine podcasts are sold. He also joins us every week to talk about car tech. Hello, Sam.
Hello, Leo.
What
How are
happened to your car? You've got all this luggage. Are you moving?
No. Earlier this week, I had a chance to drive the new Ford F-150 Lightning electric pickup. Can't talk about driving impressions until Wednesday, so we'll talk about that next Sunday.
You're embargoed
here on the show.
Embargoed. Yeah.
But I just wanted to throw that picture up there just to show how much the front trunk can hold in the Lightning. That's 4 standard carry-on bags plus 2 stuffed backpacks we got in there. Another thing that they were showing us, Ford has come up with a new term they call front gating as opposed to tailgating, because like the frunk in your Mach-E, there's a lower compartment here that's got a drain plug. So they had one at the event that was all filled with ice and drinks and stuff. So they're promoting the idea of front gating in addition to tailgating.
I have never used the frunk on my Mach-E because it has those dividers, which makes it.
Well, you can take those out now.
How?
They're pretty easy. You can either take it to the dealer and have it done, or they're just plastic pins. If you just take a screwdriver and just pry
I'm allowed to do this?
Yeah, you can do it now, because you should have gotten an OTA update that enables the the interior trunk release.
You know, I made a mistake by being the first to own a Mach-E. I haven't gotten a lot of the updates that people who buy a Mach-E have, like Blue Cruise and that update.
You haven't gotten your Blue Cruise update yet?
No. I'm even in the early beta program. Plus, and this is a constant problem, dealers don't understand electric vehicles. I have a recall on my windshield and my sunroof, and I keep calling the dealer. Every month I call them, and they say, well, call next month. We don't have we haven't found anybody to go fix that yet. It's like, I'm just, when it comes to electric vehicles and dealers, this is why Tesla's winning.
Yeah, well, I think that's not necessarily an EV issue with that.
Might just be a Ford issue, huh?
I think it's just a matter of they may not have the parts available yet for the fix.
Well, I think the real thing is what I've been reading on the forums is the glass breaks often when they replace. They're supposed to re-glue the windshield and the sunroof, because apparently they fall off, and when they do that, apparently then a certain percentage of times the windshield breaks. Or the thing breaks, and they don't. You're right; they don't have the replacements. So
it's a very large slab of glass you've got on the roof there, which is one of the downsides of having a glass roof.
I'm just going to cross my fingers it doesn't go flying off when I'm running down the highway. And
if it hasn't come off yet, you're probably
okay.
Fine.
That should be a good topic. When can you ignore recall notices? We're still waiting for the battery swap on our Chevy Bolt.
You should never ignore them. I mean, once you get them, then once you get a recall notice, contact your dealer, and as soon as they have the parts, and in fact, usually once they have the parts, they will usually contact you. Sometimes they'll issue a recall before they have replacement parts available.
This recall came out in November.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's still vehicles out there that have Takata airbag inflators.
Really? Those are the ones that have little bits.
That's a recall that's been going on for several years.
Metal that go through your forehead or something. They're not good.
Yeah, and the problem there is automakers had to find different sources. They basically had to get other suppliers aside from Takata to tool up compatible inflators, airbag inflators, to replace the original ones, because they were getting corrosion in those, and they would sometimes go off for no apparent reason, and you would have some shrapnel from it. So there are still vehicles out there waiting for replacement parts for those, which is not good. But when you get a recall, contact the dealer, see if they have the parts available, and get the vehicle in and get it get the recall done as soon as possible. Fortunately, a lot more and more recalls are software based, and as automakers roll out over-the-air software update capability, they'll be able to fix a lot of things without you actually having to go in. They can do that OTA. But there are some things like the glass roof, or Tesla has had some challenges with some of their airbags, some seatbelt issues. Those are the kinds of things you can't fix with a software update. You have to replace hardware for those. And so, they don't issue recalls if they don't feel that it's really a safety issue. So, really,
Pay attention
take it
to
seriously.
It.
Yeah.
Unless your dealer can't fix it, in which case I'm driving around with a windshield that could fly off at any point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the parts aren't
kind of
there,
the worst of both worlds, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Oh, well. I
happen.
love my Mach-E, not complaining. But you know what? That probably is good advice, which is don't. What's going on here? My phone is trying to tell me how to.
YouTube music's finally, or YouTube TV finally playing now?
No.
Finally thinks you're back in Wilkes-Barre?
No. Yeah, thinks I'm back in Wilkes-Barre. Maybe that's the solution. Tell it I'm in Wilkes-Barre. No, what was I about to say? Oh, don't buy a car in the first year of production probably is a good idea, right?
Yeah, well, fortunately these days, a lot of vehicles are in very limited supply in their first year anyways.
Yeah, you
like
can't
the Mach-E.
now. That's right.
Yeah, so
you're okay.
If you wanted to order one now, or the Lightning, if you wanted to get a Lightning, you're going to have to wait until next year if you haven't already got one ordered.
When can you give us your impressions of the?
Wednesday is the embargo for the drive impressions.
So you can't even
Lightning.
say I like it or anything. You just have to.
Nope. But
Just,
next Sunday we'll talk about the Lightning.
Now, what are these wheels you've got on over your left shoulder? Here?
So what's on the screen here right now is a schematic of a hybrid drive system, and because right now in my driveway I do have an F-150, but it's not a Lightning. It's the Power Boost hybrid, and so I wanted to talk a little bit about hybrid powertrains and how they work. So what a hybrid is when you combine an internal combustion engine and one or more electric motors and a mechanism for blending the power delivery between those. And the advantage to this is, because electric motors, as we've talked about, deliver instant torque from 0 RPM. They're great for drivability. They're also, because the process is also reversible when you're driving an electric motor. So if your vehicle is coasting, you take your foot off the accelerator and you're coasting, the kinetic energy of the vehicle is turning the motor. So it's generating electricity that's putting back into the battery, which is what we call regenerative braking. And then that energy that's in the battery, next time you go to accelerate, that can be applied back to the motor to help drive and propel the vehicle. And so the engine doesn't have to work as hard. So one of the things that engineers can do is they can use a more efficient combustion cycle, something like an Atkinson cycle, that is more fuel efficient, but doesn't necessarily produce as much torque because they're getting the torque filled in by the electric motor. And so you can have, it's a small battery typically about 1.5 kilowatt hours. So it's not going to be able to drive very far on electricity, but it can do a lot of assist and really help improve fuel economy. And that's why, cars like the Toyota Prius and the Hyundai Ioniq hybrid and the Elantra hybrid and others, they can get upwards of 50 miles per gallon with their hybrid powertrains, and they're extremely fuel efficient. They're relatively low cost, especially compared to an EV. The Ford Maverick now comes standard. That's their new compact pickup truck. Comes standard with a hybrid powertrain. It gets 42 miles per gallon from a pickup truck.
Good solution
for $20,000
for people who are worried about range. Maybe you're in a rural area where you don't have chargers. That's great. Sam Abuelsamid, Guidehouse Insights, wheelbearings.media. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Well, this is even more fun. Okay, so right, it won't. But when I do, what is my location? It says you're in the brick house. So I don't. What is my location now? right here. According to GPScoordinates.net, I am right where I am. Yet, according to YouTube, I don't know where you are. You're in Wilkes-Barre. It doesn't know where I am.
See, I mean, we did the trial of YouTube TV a couple of years back, for a couple of days, and then canceled it because we suddenly realized that after not having cable for 5 years,
it is cable.
We really didn't want to watch commercials.
Yeah, I mean,
commercials were just a non-starter.
It's how it is cable. Yeah, I'll cancel. It was way expensive. It was a bad idea, but and I was very happy with it. But if they can't figure this out, apparently this is a known problem, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I am going to give you now, let me get a clock up for you. Oh, not all the time in the world, but much time, sometime, anytime. Let me watch my clock. There it is. There you go. Enjoy.
Thank you.
And you want to stay for the top two?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So continuing the conversation about hybrids, hybrids are a great solution for a lot of people who, especially if you live somewhere where you don't have access to off-street parking, there may not be a lot of public charging available for you locally, or you just can't afford an EV because, the reality is most of the EVs that are out there are still considerably more expensive, and you can get, quite a few of the hybrid vehicles out there in the low $20,000 range, which I think is, it's not inexpensive. I mean, a lot of the majority of people never actually buy a new car in their lifetime. Most people only buy used cars because new cars are too expensive. Right in 2021, the average transaction price for new cars was $43,000, which was a jump of almost $6,000 from 2019, and it's only getting worse. Especially as manufacturers have discontinued a lot of their smaller cars that people weren't buying anyway, or not enough people were buying. And so there's quite a few really good, comparatively low-cost hybrids. If you want a new vehicle and you want something with really great fuel economy, there's actually quite a few options out there. And if you think about it, the energy, for a lot of people, if you were to actually do the calculation of cradle to grave emissions, CO2 emissions, in many cases you might actually be doing better with a hybrid than you would with a battery electric vehicle because you have a much smaller battery. They are a little more mechanically complex than an EV, obviously. But as I said, you can get 40, 50, almost 60 miles per gallon in a lot of cases. And they work really well. You don't have to plug them in. You can also get plug-in hybrids, which are basically the same thing, but with a larger battery. And we'll talk about that in the next segment. But, excuse me, but hybrids are a great solution to partial electrification of your vehicle. Let's see. I'm not sure what user 8261 is talking about when he says, feel like you left your e-brake on. But yeah, I mean,
hold on. Leo Laporte, happy Mother's Day. Now I've said it. The tech guy, happy Mother's Day. Don't worry, the people in my life already heard it. First thing in the morning, right? Yeah, it was cute. Our 19-year-old got up and made a cup of coffee for his mother. That's all she wants in the morning. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number, 888-827-5536. Back to the phones we go. Joy on the line from Houston, Texas. Hello, Joy. Or Jay, I'm sorry. Hi, Jay. Hello, Jay. Is he mad because Oh, no, he's not mad because I called him Joy. He's just got to press the button there. Okay.
Okay, so can you hear me okay?
I hear you great, yes.
So I thought you'd like a follow-up story to my sad OnePlus smartphone.
Yeah. Yeah, this was last week. Fill us in, though, for those who have short memories.
Well, I bought a phone back in September. It was refurbished. Looked on Consumer Reports. good reviews. I thought, what the heck? Okay, so I'll get it. And I told you, Leo, I love the phone, except every so often it would, I would get an Android update, and it would download the update just fine, and then it would do a hard reset on the phone.
And you'd lose everything. It'd be back to the way it was when it came from the factory. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. So,
and that's clearly not intended behavior.
Yes, and you made it very clear that that's not normal operating procedure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought I'm going to have a strategy here. Do you remember back in the 70s a book came out called You Can Negotiate Anything?
Yes. A classic. Okay.
It was. And, it was sort of kind of a pop culture thing.
Right.
So, I'm old enough. I know you mentioned your 50-year reunion is coming up.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember it. That's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I need a strategy. What do I want to do? I've got a phone that I think you were basically saying you better ditch at some point.
Yeah.
So my strategy was I'll go to Best Buy and call them first. So, Leo, first of all, here's a little news item. I didn't realize that when you call Best Buy, you can't get through to the store. At least you get a call center that fields calls for the store.
Right.
And they
for all the stores. Yeah.
What's that?
For all the stores. Exactly.
Yeah. And I had no idea. And the store is only 10 minutes away. So I tried 3 days in a row.
And they never got back to you. What? Wow.
I just need to make a personal appearance.
Yeah.
So I go, walk in, ask for the manager. Seemed like a nice guy. I said, yeah, what's the problem? I said, well, I have this phone that I like, but it keeps killing my data, keeps killing my apps. So this is where you come in, Leo. You get an assist on this. You get a major assist. I looked at my wife and she smiled as if to say, go ahead, play back part of the podcast.
Oh.
So I asked him, I said, do you have a computer that's sort of free and connected to the internet? He goes, sure.
Oh.
We go back. We go to the back.
You invoked the power of Leo.
Oh, Leo, you have no idea. Here's the thing. You got to kill him with kindness.
Yeah.
You can't walk in.
No, don't beat him up. No. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know he doesn't set the policy for all of Best Buy, the corporation, but
he can help you, though. He can help you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we go back. He said, can I ask what you're doing? I said, I was on a national radio show, and the host was very helpful. And I said, I didn't denigrate Best Buy. He goes, well, I'm sure glad to hear that. So we bring up the podcast, and I put the slider at it's about an hour and 45 minutes. And I said, okay, can you turn the volume up as loud as you can? Because it was kind of loud back there. Lean forward, and he heard where you said Jay in Houston. Yeah. And he goes, and he points at
that's
me.
You?
I'm like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
And he plays it back. He said, okay. So he said, I've heard enough. But he said it in a nice way. Like, he didn't say, I've heard enough. Get the heck out of here. He goes, that's not supposed to happen.
Yes.
So, Leo, long story short, he said, what would you like to do? I said, listen, I don't need a refund. I just really need a phone that doesn't kill my data every so often.
Yeah, that's fair.
Unbelievable, Leo. Gave me full credit.
Nice.
I ended up getting another phone. I bought I love these names. I don't know who comes up with these names. Why don't they just say Moto 1, Moto 2?
Oh, I know. You can't keep track. Yeah.
Exactly. So I bought a Moto G Power. No, not Moto G. They got rid of the G. It's Moto Power 5G Ace, and it seems to be working.
But you had a Moto before and liked them, so that's a good replacement.
Correct.
Yeah.
I asked you about going back.
I like the Motos. Yeah, I think they do a good job.
And, Leo, one thing about OnePlus, thanks to James or whoever put it on the show notes at the end of the podcast last Sunday, put a link that might help me. It went to OneNote's website and message board. They've been aware of this problem for 2 years.
Yeah, thanks Scooter X in the chat room. I think he came up with that link last week.
Oh, that's right. Scooter did. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was very helpful because I looked at it after I talked to you.
It's kind of a known issue. Yeah.
Exactly. And I thought they've had 2 years. They could do a fix. They obviously, I guess, refused to.
Yeah.
So I bought this phone. The phone is great, Leo, and you'll be glad to know there's been about 4 or 5 updates because it's getting me caught up from, I guess, when the phone came. So every time data's intact, apps are intact.
Good.
So no problem.
And thanks to Best Buy, let's give them credit. And you can play this back for them if you want. But they did the right thing. They took care of you, and I'm glad to hear that.
They did. Yeah. They did. And, Leo, I wanted to mention, you said your 50-year reunion is next year.
High school. High school.
High school reunion.
Let's not go crazy here.
You're going to have to put a sign because I'm sure most of the people in your class know what you do. You would be pestered the whole night. You would be in the buffet line about to pick out chicken tenders, and someone would go,
"Hey,
my Grubhub app."
Happens to me all the time. There's a T-shirt, which I will get before I go, that says, "No, I will not fix your computer."
Right. Or just say, "No tech talk tonight."
Not tonight. Let's talk about
high school talk.
Let's talk about Santa Cruz High, class of '73.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I wanted to thank you because had I not invoked the power of Leo, I don't know if I would have. It was funny. We were not very far into it. He goes, "Okay, stop."
Yeah, I've heard enough.
I stopped.
I'll help you.
He goes, "I've heard enough." He goes, "He's right. That's not supposed to happen."
Good.
And Leo, the amazing part about it, this phone was refurbished. It only had a 3-month warranty. I extended it. It was out of warranty.
So he didn't have to do anything.
No.
Yeah.
No. And it was really nice.
Credit to your local. Is it your Houston Best Buy?
Yes, Houston Gulfgate. If we're going to be specific.
Good.
Yes.
Nice people there. Thank you for doing the right thing by our buddy Jay. And did you get anybody contacting you about getting your high school reunion service?
It's funny you mentioned that. About an hour before the show started, I get an email.
Nice.
Martin from Burnsville, Minnesota, if you're listening, thank you for that. I don't know that we can actually coordinate it, but we can give him some tips.
Very nice.
To make it a little bit easier. So, yes, thank you for that, too.
That's great. Give us a plug one more time. What's the website?
The website is Reunion Scoop. I'm a former newspaper writer. A colleague came up with it. ReunionScoop.com.
Cool. Jay, a pleasure. I'm so glad it worked out for you.
Thanks, Leo.
Yeah.
It was great. We really appreciate it.
Sometimes the hardware is just bad, and it's misbehaving. And the right thing to do is to bring it back. It's too bad. A lot of times you don't find out that it's going to misbehave until after the warranty has run out. But and I think Best Buy is very good. I think the big box stores like Costco and Sam's Club are pretty good about this too. They often will, and they have a lot of discretion, as you've discovered. They'll often stand by a product even after the warranty has run out. So I'm glad that worked out for you. 8888 Ask Leo, website techguylabs.com. This is episode 1892, a very good year. If you go there, you'll have links to everything we talk about, transcripts, audio, and video later. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I give you Sam Abuelsamid. It's all yours. Oh, wait a minute. It will be when I turn on.
Following along in the chat here,
Yeah.
one of the questions that somebody had was, I think I previously mentioned a special issue of Motor Trend that's coming out on software-defined vehicles. That's not coming out till about the end of the month, the end of May. But if you're interested in learning more about software-defined vehicles, I'm actually going to be moderating a panel this Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's May 12th at 11 a.m. Eastern. I just dropped a link in there in the chat for Reuters events on the software-defined vehicle. We'll have somebody from Toyota, Polestar, AI, and Continental on there to talk for an hour about software-defined vehicles. Also, I think Greg Bilton was mentioning that he took his Mini into the dealership for some recall work. And ever since, for the past year, he's been getting constant emails about selling his car. I suspect, or trading in his car. I suspect that you'd probably be getting those notifications anyway right now because car dealers have so little inventory of vehicles to sell. I get them all the time, probably at least once a week or so from car dealers. In fact, sometimes even for cars that I no longer even own, saying, hey, you can trade in your car. We've got a 5-year-old Honda Civic that I can trade in for about the same that we paid for it 5 years ago. But unfortunately, there isn't much new to buy. And I like not having a car payment, so I'm not taking anybody up on that offer just yet. But yeah, a lot of dealers are sending out emails and notifications to customers saying, hey, if you want to come in and trade in your car, we'll give you a great deal on it right now. And if you don't need a car to replace it with, then it might not be a bad idea. It's probably a good time to sell your used car. Also, let's see, Phoenix Warp was asking about a time limit on recalls. If it's been 3 years since a recall went through, can you still take it in and have the work done? Yeah, there is no time limit on recalls. And in fact, manufacturers actually have an incentive to get the stuff done as soon as possible. But if you don't take it in, and this is one of the challenges with hardware recalls, because customers actually have to bring the vehicles in to be serviced, they don't have any control over that. With OTA updates, they can push out an update, over the air and they get done very quickly. But with physical recalls, it's more challenging. And NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, actually does have rules that, when it says for a safety recall, a certain percentage, I think it's 85%, of the vehicles in the recall have to be done. They have to be repaired within a certain time period. And I don't remember exactly what that time period is, but they have been known to fine automakers if they don't get the recall done, or get, most of the vehicles repaired within a certain time period. But from a customer perspective, you can go as long as you want. It could be 5 years, and you can still take it in and have the work done. It can be done at any time. Let's see. Somebody asked about battery recycling, and this is one of the challenges with EVs and hybrid vehicles, for that matter. Is at the end of life for the battery. We all know batteries do eventually reach an end of their useful life. Although for EV and hybrid batteries, that end is generally much, much longer than the lifespan of batteries in your consumer electronics devices, because batteries in our vehicles they're much larger, much heavier, much more expensive, and manufacturers are concerned about the longevity of them. They do have to warranty them, and so they put a lot more effort into thermal management, temperature management, which is the enemy of battery durability. You don't want your battery getting too hot or too cold when it's being used. And so they put a lot of effort into ensuring the durability of the batteries. So most automakers warranty their batteries for either 8 or 10 years and 100 to 150,000 miles. And then at the end of that lifespan, there are second life use cases for batteries. There's been pilots done with used EV batteries, using them for stationary storage, for power backup for data centers and things like that. But as we go forward, as more and more EVs are built, we're going to need a lot more batteries and a lot more of the raw materials that go into batteries. And so there's a lot of effort going into recycling now, battery recycling. And actually, lithium-ion batteries are one of the areas where a lot of progress is being made. And there's actually several companies that are doing lithium-ion battery recycling at a fairly large scale right now. Most particularly a company called Redwood Materials that is based in Nevada, started by J.B. Straubel, the former chief technical officer of Tesla. And they are collecting both used EV and hybrid batteries from vehicles, but also consumer electronics batteries. And the nature of these batteries, there are process called hydrometallurgy, where they they can basically they shred the battery, they break it down, and then they put it in a solvent bath essentially, and they can separate out all the key raw materials, things like nickel, manganese, cobalt, copper, and aluminum, and then they reprocess it back into the forms to go right back into new battery production. And as EV production ramps up over the next several years, this is going to be a key part of meeting the demand for raw materials for batteries. We expect, eventually, by sometime in the 2030s, when there's a critical mass of EVs reaching their end of life, that a significant portion of the raw materials going into battery production will be recycled materials. And there's actually evidence that the performance of batteries made from these recycled materials can actually be better than from virgin materials right out of the ground, because each time you recycle the battery, you're continuously refining it. You're taking more impurities out of those cathode materials. And so you can actually get superior performance with batteries made with recycled materials. Right now, Redwood is doing enough materials for about 6 gigawatt hours a year worth of batteries, which is probably about 60,000 vehicles, 60 to 80,000 new EVs, depending on the size of the batteries. But by 2030 or by 2025, they expect to be at 100 gigawatt hours. And by 2030, they want to be at 500 gigawatt hours. And there's several other companies doing this as well. So we're going to see a lot of battery recycling as the number of available batteries to recycle increases over the course of the next 10 years. You're going to see a lot more battery recycling done as well. Up until now, there hasn't been much of it because there just weren't enough EVs that have reached end of life. Let's see. User 8261 says, hoping a third party will come along to offer replacement Tesla battery packs. Yeah, I wouldn't bet on that. I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. Let's see. Lithium-ion batteries like 18652 seem to last much longer than predicted, from Twisted or Doug M. Yeah, I mean, it actually doesn't really matter what the battery cell format is. The 18650s like Tesla originally used, or larger prismatic cells. In the early years of the modern EV era, automakers were very conservative with how they used the batteries, and they found that with improved battery management software, they can actually get very good durability. The batteries hold up very well as long as they have good thermal management. The one exception to that is the early Nissan Leafs, because they were using an air-cooled battery pack instead of liquid-cooled, and some of them did have problems with degrading when they were exposed to excess heat.
Thank you, sir.
Back to Leo.
And have a wonderful week.
And the same to you, and we'll talk next week about the Lightning.
Oh, good. I can't wait. Thanks, Sam. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, home theater, the evil Google. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you want to talk high tech. I hope that I have fear that this will be the case, that this show doesn't become just a litany of gripes about big tech. Because it all seems to be going downhill. It's just gotten to the point now, it's so big, whether it's Facebook or Google or, Apple, or that they just can't respond to consumers very well. And increasingly, the wheels are going to come off on these companies, and it's just going to be. So I hope this doesn't become the litany of complaints that are, especially if they're unsolvable. There's just no solution. And that's the problem, I think, more and more. But we're gonna look on the bright side and solve your problems one computer at a time. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Website techguylabs.com. Changed a little bit over the last few months for a variety of reasons, mostly economic. We are now hosted on the podcast website twit.tv. That's my podcast network, my company, and so. If you go to techguylabs.com, it'll redirect you there. You'll see all the shows. And just as before, we're putting audio and video from the shows there. We're putting links from the shows there. And we are doing something new, which is a transcript from the show. Those things take a couple of days to get up there. But once the transcript's there, you can search it. There are time codes. You can go right to that part of the audio or the video. You can hear the question and the answer. And you can see the links involved. And I'm hoping that that's going to work for most of you. 1892 is the episode. 1892 at techguylabs.com. Rick on the line from Sherman Oaks, California, our next caller. Hi, Rick.
Hello, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I don't know why I did that.
No, it's good.
Right.
It's good. We talk like that. It's fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm from Cleveland. It's not quite the same.
Not the same.
So, love your show. Here's the dilemma. I had to take some stuff off my C drive in order to make room for an upgrade, update, whatever, and discovered that I had so many photos and videos on my C drive, and I have.
That's what was filling it up.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I had this 2 terabyte, external that I use because I have too much stuff on my C drive. I know I've got multiple external drives, and I don't know. There has to be some software out there, something that will help me determine I've got multiples of everything that I don't need to keep.
Oh, that's the worst. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very common problem, especially with photos. And it's also a difficult problem because people edit their photos. And so it's the same photo, but it's been modified. Now, which do you keep? Do you keep the original? Do you keep the modification? Are those duplicates? And those are things software has to solve. And, different people have different answers to that question. So it's a tricky thing to do. But there are a number of programs out there designed to solve this problem, especially with photos. Are you on Windows or a Mac?
Windows.
And is it just photos, or you said there's other media files you want to deduplicate as well?
Well, there's a lot of movies, of course, video, a lot of photos.
Yeah.
Lots.
Yeah.
Years and years and years, my whole life. I mean, stuff is all over the place.
Well, and, of course, everybody says, I'm going to be organized, but it's not you might even be organized. And it's not always your fault because, programs do this in a way. Windows has built in a duplicate file remover. I probably would not want to use that because I feel like this is a specialized thing. You really want something that's going to understand this issue with photos and is going to look at the content and give you a chance. Some of these better programs actually show you side by side.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and then you could say, well, I like this version better. This looks like the same photo. So there's a number of programs that will do this. They're mostly called things like Duplicate Finder. I've never used on Macs. I use a program from Ukraine, interestingly enough, called Gemini. It's a company called MacPaw that's in Ukraine. There's a lot of good software companies in Ukraine, which is no fun. Let me ask the chat room. I always ask you this: what the best deduper? Because you can search dedupe or remove duplicates in Windows, and you'll find 1,000.
You see them, but that's why you're here.
Yeah, that's why I'm here, is to cut through that. So Duplicate Cleaner Pro is one I see a lot of. CCleaner you may already have. That's one of the features of CCleaner. Windows, as I said, will do it, but not the way you want to do it, because what you really want is something that's smart. Steve in San Diego says he's been using Duplicate Detective. I've heard good things about that. DuplicateDetective.com. You're going to want to look, when you look at it, here's what you're going to be wanting to be looking for, is something that doesn't just go by file name, creation date, that kind of thing. That's just too stupid. You want something that actually looks at the file and creates, what we call it a hash, creates a relatively small number reflecting the contents of that file, and then matches the hashes. And if files' hashes match, they're absolutely identical, regardless of name, date, anything else. So those it can remove.
Good.
You want to look into the content, look deeply into the soul of these images and see. But then you also want, if it says, this is really close, you want to show them side by side. So I tried Duplicate Detective. There's a free, you could try it free, and I would try it for free first. It doesn't look like
so that's a .com. It's a website.
No. It's just that's where the software lives, and you can download it.
The software lives.
Yeah. Another one is called Double Killer. I've never heard of that one, but the chat room seems to think that's a good one. it's certainly a good name.
All right.
And it allows you to delete them. Major Geeks recommends it, and he's pretty good at Major Geeks. So Double Killer. Yeah, I've not used any of these on Windows, so I'm not exactly sure. There are so many good programs for this because it's such a common problem. But you don't want to spend a lot of money on this. The other option would be to consolidate without deleting. And since drives are so cheap, I think a lot of people have just said, I'm going to have duplicates. I've done that.
Well, I bought a new external 3 terabyte would have room for everything and multiple duplicates. That just can't be the way to live.
Yeah.
Multiple duplicates.
Yeah, there's people.
And I save them everywhere. Who knows where I'm saving them?
Right. There's people who just are offended by the notion that these duplicates might exist, and you just don't want them around. So, I think that this is
followed by date, though. I mean, if there was one that
but if you do it by date, that's not going to work because the date changes. The modified date changes when you get copied them over. By the way,
thank you much. There you go. That's logical. Yeah,
you can't do it by date. You have to do it by content.
I realized I couldn't do that.
Yep, that's exactly.
All righty. Well, this is very helpful.
Good luck. I don't blame you. I mean, this is but if you, particularly, I would search for stuff that removes duplicate photos because that's a specific kind of a thing that is.
I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
it's the great fear, right?
Yeah, and of course you want to err on the side of caution because you don't want to delete that one picture of mom, from 73 when she was a teenager, right? You want to keep that around. So
the truth.
That's right.
Truth.
This is an interesting one. It's called Duplicate Sweeper that does do that side-by-side thing, which I really like seeing those images and seeing what they look like. So that's another one to take a look at. Duplicate Sweeper. Right. There's 3 for you.
I got them down.
Have fun.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, this is a big problem. It's a universal problem. And there's 2 schools of thought. There's the person who's, I am not going to allow duplicate files to exist. It's a waste of space. It's confusing. And I agree. It's nice to get it all organized at some point. But the problem is it's going to come back. It really is. It's the nature of computing. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. Every once in a while I clean up. And, I have to do it every few years. 888-827-5536, toll free, anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. TechGuyLabs.com, the website. What do you do, Chris? I should ask you. Do you worry about duplicate photos? Do you have any particular method?
Yes and no. I'm a bit wary of throwing away duplicates because some of those might be inside some library, and then you cause problems downstream if you delete the wrong one. So
and the library goes, where does it go?
Especially on the Mac, you have these library formats that are actually folders. So some of these programs are not aware of those, so they go inside and they just see the pictures and find some that are the same. And if you're not savvy, then you can mess things up. So I'm kind of cautious on that.
Yeah.
But of course, if you have like 3 different copies, I mean, digital tidiness is difficult if you're not very techy.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to be cautious not to generate duplicates if I can avoid it.
That's a good thing. And then somebody was complaining yesterday about Lightroom not being able to tether with his brand with relatively new Nikon, and we're just bitching and moaning. And
the tethering feature has been a bit I wouldn't say neglected, but they are not the quickest to add tethering support for new cameras. It looks like one of those features that gets implemented and then they go, meh,
yeah,
we're done. And I don't know how often I have used tethering, maybe once or twice. So I haven't really tried. I've really had to dig into that. I know people who work in studios often use stuff like that. But then there's other tools. What you can do in Lightroom, you can use the software that comes with the camera to trip the shutter and have that offloaded into a specific folder, and then have Lightroom set up with a watch folder. So it looks at that folder and imports what comes in there. That would be kind of a workaround.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. Yeah.
Yeah, because most cameras come with some software for tethering.
Right, and just have a watch folder.
So they can.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And Lightroom watch folders are pretty useful for these kind of things.
So then, as long as you can get it into the computer, the Lightroom can import it.
Again, and yes, and the cameras often come with software that does that. So that would be an alternative approach to that.
All right, we'll be with you soon. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. Greg on the line from Denver, Colorado, our next caller. Hi, Greg.
Hi, I'm a year younger than you, so I get my 50th high school reunion next year.
Aren't you lucky?
Yeah. We've got a website and everything else going, though.
Nice,
so.
nice.
I'm an administrator or treasurer for a charity, and we've used QuickBooks for 100 years, and they've now gone online. You have to use their online stuff, $40 a month as of May 1st.
Yes.
So I've done a lot of searches internet-wise for a check writing program to keep the foundation going, and what I found is that everybody's going to credit cards.
Right.
So I went out and found Wave Accounting. I think that's put out by H&R Block.
Is this for a business or for an individual, for yourself?
Charity.
Okay.
Yeah. So I found Wave. I've gotten my accounts going with that. And, of course, they would like us to link to a credit card and take credit card payments and all that. But we're so we don't do too much of that yet.
Yeah.
It sounds like I need to grow up and get into the new age.
Well, everything's, this is the story of technology. Everything's in flux now. Mm-hmm. And accounting is one of them. Quicken, Intuit would love for you. Actually, is QuickBooks still Intuit? I think it is. They would love for you to do their QuickBooks online. That's what we use as my business. Because it's a monthly fee, and as you say, it's a steep monthly fee. And you might check to see if they have a lower cost for nonprofits. There are a lot of nonprofit solutions out there, and they might, to keep you around, say, "Oh yeah, you're a nonprofit, okay, we can make a better deal for you." That's to be the first thing to do. Okay. But I have a link to a site called doublethedonation.com that has a fairly recent article about 11 low-cost nonprofit accounting programs. Huh. So I will put that in the show notes. I have no experience with any of them. As I said, we use QuickBooks, and my wife, who is the CFO, CEO, chief cook, and bottle washer, that's what she uses. QuickBooks, yeah. Somebody's just sent me a note that there is a nonprofit plan from QuickBooks. So that's the first thing I would do, and see. Well, okay, this is great. So QuickBooks Plus for nonprofits, $40 a month. Advanced is $90 a month, and there's the enterprise nonprofit for the big nonprofit, which is $91 a month. But those prices, this is really bad, are for the first 3 months, and then it goes right back up.
Yeah.
The heck with you, QBO.
The internet advertising for QuickBooks has been just off the chart, from letters to me saying you've got to switch as of May 31st to you need to switch to $40 a month to $20 for the first 3 months.
They're desperate.
Yeah.
They're desperate. And it really is, and there are a number of companies like this, Adobe's like this, where they're kind of mainline software that everybody in a certain area has to use, and they've realized, wait, we're just selling this outright? No, we need to charge a monthly fee, and it's exorbitant. So I have no expert, but this is there are no MIP Fund Accounting, File 990, Aplos, Cougar Mountain. I'm running through these fast, but I'll give you a link where all of these are slow. Fund Easy, GMS Nonprofit Plus, One NFP Financials, Serenic Navigator, Zero, which is I am familiar with, is kind of the big XERO, the big competitor for QuickBooks Online.
Yeah,
they also have a nonprofit pricing plan.
Okay.
But it looks like it's 25% off, plans from $12 a month. I think that may be a much more appealing thing. Everybody's going to want a monthly fee, I think, these days.
Yeah, and cloud-based, which is fine. That way I don't have to get a new fancy computer.
Exactly. I think cloud-based is a good way to go. As long as you trust the cloud, people are starting to get around to the idea that the cloud is safe. In fact, in many cases, it's safer because these people, this is their profession. They keep it secure, whereas our computers at work are a little more vulnerable, because people get email and get phished and stuff like that. So I think it's probably a good idea to move it to the cloud, as long as you do all the right things security-wise, two-factor authentication and all of that.
Right.
So we'll give you a couple of links. I guess xero.com would be one to check out for sure, but there are some other ones, and we'll put that at techguylabs.com. Or you can, if you want to do it right now, you can just Google doublethedonation.com, top 11 low-cost non-profit accounting software.
Thank you very much for your help.
My pleasure. Yeah, I'm glad to help. Thanks for the work you do at your nonprofit. And given your age, I'm guessing you probably were a CFO, finance person. And in retirement, you're kind of helping out with the local nonprofit. So bless you. That's a great way to use your time. Account Edge has some nonprofit stuff as well, says Scooter X in our chat room. L. Hurst or Lyhurst in the chat room says, I was the bookkeeper for a nonprofit, L. Hurst. For 22 years, we use software written by our national headquarters. That is a temptation I would resist. They call it in business the build or buy issue. Should you build your own software or buy it? And speaking from experience and hearing the experience of many others, it's almost always better if you could find something off the shelf that works to do that. You build your own, you're now buying into a much higher monthly cost for maintenance, support. You've got to make sure that the person who knows how it works documents it well enough so the next person who comes along can use it. The person who wrote it. We had software custom written by one of our employees, and then he left. He quit. Of course, that happens, right? Took another job. We said, would you like to support your software that you wrote for us? He said, no, thank you. And now what do you do? 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number, 888-827-5536. Guess what? We're getting ready for Chris Marquardt, our photo guy. A little more spring photography coming up, plus our photo assignment. So if you love photography, stay tuned. Chris Marquardt is coming up. Space Guy Rod Pyle will be next hour. And, of course, more of your calls, too. 8888 Ask Leo. We're going to go back to Denver. Bill, hang on. I'll be with you when we return, or at least after Chris Marquardt. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's time for the photo guy. Chris Marquardt is here, my personal photo sensei at sensei.photo. He has written some great books on photography, film photography, wide-angle photography. He is an expert. Are you still offering, Chris, the Lightroom, quick scanning photos? Was it 1,000 photos in an hour, something like that?
Sort of. It's kind of out of date, but if someone asks me nicely, I'll send them a copy.
Well, then you need to update it, my friend, as if you had nothing else to do. Every week he joins us to inspire us to take better photos. What's our topic of the week this week, Chris?
Okay, so the winter is finally over. We are spring is here, and photographers are beginning to very carefully, slowly poke their feelers out and try to get back into that groove of taking pictures. And a good way to do that is to look into macro photography. So,
we talked about that last week.
No, we talked about this over a month ago, I think. So,
feels like recently, anyway. Yeah,
it is something that you can do in winter. But I like to go out and just outside into the garden and look at different things.
It's a little easier because the light is brighter, so you don't necessarily have to have lights.
And macro gives you a lot of interesting things to look. Let's start with the garden. So just a simple thing: you have flowers out there. Very obvious. Flowers are coming back. Insects, of course. If you have a macro lens that is there's two different kinds of macro lenses. There's macro lenses that are very close. Like you have to get really close with your camera. If you have an iPhone 13 Pro, you have a macro lens built in that lets you get as close as like under 1 inch to something. But that won't work with insects because, they won't like you being that close and they will fly away. So the good thing is that if you have a mirrorless camera or DSLR, there are macro lenses that allow you quite some distance. So you can be like 2 feet away from something and this way get a macro shot.
No one wants to be close to a bee, that's for sure.
Then, of course, there are everyday objects that make a lot of sense to look at, especially if you look at some things close up are just very different. I remember as a child we had a magazine and that had once a week that had a really interesting, very close up macro shot that was kind of difficult to understand. But nowadays with macro lenses being more ubiquitous, or let's say ways of shooting macros, it is easier for everyone to participate in this. I mean, here's a photo of a corkscrew. That is not something that you see this close. Usually, here's a macro of what are those, like little eyedroppers that look really interesting when looked at really close up. Here's one of those tabs of a soda can.
Sometimes it takes you a while because you've never seen these things from this perspective, even though you've seen it a million times.
Exactly. Here's an interesting shot of a fork where only the tips are in focus. That is something that macro photography, it's very typical for macro photography that everything is out of focus. Only a very thin sliver is in focus. And that can be interesting. But if you want more, then you can, there are ways to deal with that. There's, for example, something called focus stacking. If you are a bit more advanced, you can look at things. You can take pictures of things where the camera will kind of take multiple shots at very slightly different focus settings.
Instead of a very shallow depth of field, everything's in focus. You can see it all.
And then you have a piece of software that does some math and puts all these pictures on a stack and only pulls out the in focus part of each of the photos. That is something that pros would do, but there's some cameras out there that can do this in camera. So that is interesting. Here's an interesting photo of a mushroom that would not be that sharp with a regular macro lens. And then, of course, there are the specialists, like the really crazy ones. Here's a photo of a snowflake. And this is there you will really need a very. It's beyond macro. That's more like a almost a microscope type of lens. So it is even more magnification than your average macro lens. And then, of course, there's even more specialists. This is one photo. You know Don Komorechka. He's like a macro.
I know him, and
god,
I love him. And I like the Ukraine colors here. It's great.
So he did something that is really amazing. He took a plant and put a drop of water on it. So you have this spherical drop of water. And then behind it, he put in this case, it's Ukrainian flag. It's the colors of Ukraine. And what happens is that this spherical drop of water acts like a magnifying glass, and it turns the picture upside down and focuses it. So
very cool.
This is very cool. This is very amazing.
Yeah.
So macro is one of those playgrounds that is it's a very helpful way to get back into the whole photography thing. If you have a newer smartphone, like an iPhone 13 Pro, for example, that has a built-in macro lens, so you can start right away, and it will even be smart enough to automatically switch to macro mode if you go really close to something, and then you'll figure out how dirty your keyboard really is in front of your computer. I tried this.
You don't want to see it. I know. Trust me.
If you have a camera with an exchangeable lens, like a mirrorless or DSLR, there is special macro lenses. But if you don't want to shell out for one of those, then you can try what's called extension rings, which are not so expensive rings that you can put between your camera and a regular lens and turn the lens into a micro lens this way. Or, and this is interesting, there's something called a reverse mount. Some of those lenses that you like, if you have a 50 millimeter lens for your mirrorless or for your DSLR, if you rotate this 180 degrees so that the front lens points towards the camera, then that turns into a macro lens.
Nice.
So there are so-called reverse mounts. They're a few dollars that lets you attach the lens to your camera the other way around and turn it into a macro lens. So you might have a macro lens without even knowing it. So,
and of course, many phones, although are they fake macro when the phones do it?
Oh, well, the iPhone 13 Pro does real macro. I'm pretty sure a lot of Android phones do it as well. There's some fake macro where they will use your regular camera and just crop in really tight, so they will
those don't
throw
look so
stuff
good.
away. But some of those are very, very good. Yeah. So definitely worth playing with.
It's so fun to play with it. Get those close-up shots. Yeah. Except don't do it of your keyboard because it's terrible, dirty, filthy. So what is our assignment? I think next week you're probably going to do a review, yeah?
Yep, that's the plan. Current assignment is still elegant.
Elegant. Last chance to take a picture illustrating the concept, the word elegant. If you find something you like, upload it to our Flickr group, the Tech Guy group on flickr.com. It's free. If you tag it TG Elegant, we'll know that that's a submission. Then Chris is going to review all the TG Elegant photos, and next Sunday we'll pick 3 and talk about them on the air. That's your only reward. It's really the real reward. The best reward is getting out there and taking some photos. TG Elegant, the tag. Chris Marquardt, sensei.photo for his workshops, his coaching, and for his books too, right? Sensei, SENSEI .photo. Chris, have a wonderful week. Take more great spring photos. I'm glad you're getting some spring weather. And we will talk next week. We'll review our photo assignment. Thank you, Chris Marquardt.
Thank you.
Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. I don't want to interrupt this. What a great song. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Happy Mother's Day, one and all. Bill on the line from Denver, Colorado. Thanks for hanging on, Bill.
Hey, what's up? Hey, I got a comment before we get to the phone. Because I missed what you were talking about with the EVs, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what happens? You're four-wheel driving and the battery's dead because you use more power. Because one time, 40 years ago, me and my wife, we had to walk for 8 hours to get out.
You ran out of gas, huh?
No.
Same thing happens if you run out of gas, I might add.
No, I got better than that. My wife thought she'd be a smart one, and we were drinking beer and stuff, and I get out to do a thing, and she jumps behind the wheel. I go, fine, you drive. So she goes bouncing off the road, comes back up, the truck stops. I go, come on, let's go. She goes, it won't move. She steps on the gas.
Whoops.
I look at the truck, the drive shaft's busted.
Oh, no.
Yeah, two-wheel drive vehicle.
Oh.
A night there, and I had to walk out the next day. But, I mean, what if you run out of gas doing that? I mean,
same thing, right? EVs, the EV now has, and Tesla has this, but others have it. They come around, a little battery car. Ford has it. They have a little battery car that comes around and charges you up, and then you get going.
Yeah. What if you're 10 or 20 miles back?
Well, it's the same problem if you run out of gas. I don't know how that's any different for an EV or running out of gas. But
because gas, you can carry a 5-gallon gas can with you.
Oh, okay.
Right? Anyway, I'm not trying to argue with on it. I'm just saying, I mean...
I mean, you could run out of electricity. You sure can.
Right.
And you can't really carry a gas can of electricity with you.
Because, I mean, we're not there yet. I don't see nothing on the roads to charge a car, to tell you the truth. I'm not looking for it.
No.
But, I mean, and plus, I don't know about you guys there in California, my electric bill is higher than ever.
Yeah. Well, that's why we put solar panels on the roof. So we're charging for free from the sun. It's a nice feeling.
I'm retired from the utility company.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, by the way. The utility company in California won't let you overbuild. They don't want you competing with them. So I can only put enough solar panels to provide my own needs. I can't do more than that.
Hey, well, vote no if they want to put a smart meter on your house.
Oh, it's too late. And we all have smart.
Did you get the little
we all have smart meters now. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did you get the little chart how more expensive it is during the daytime?
Oh, I know how much more expensive it is. In fact, we don't charge our EVs between during peak period 4 and 9 p.m. But I also have Tesla batteries, the Powerwall batteries. So one of the nice things is the panels will charge those up so that at night or during peak hours, if we're buying electricity off the grid, it will use the batteries instead. So there's ways around it. There's ways. We're going to have to do something. Honestly, I think the best solution is to get rid of personal car ownership entirely. But we can't do that until we've got autonomous vehicles. That's one of the reasons there's so much investment in Uber and Lyft and self-driving from companies like Google and Apple, because the future is self-driving vehicles. Then when you need a car, it comes to you, you get in it, drives you home, drives you wherever you want to go, drives you off-road. You run out of power off-road, you say, give me another car. Then another one comes out and takes you on. So I think that's the future. We waste so much of our national resources on automotive vehicles.
Sure. It's like, like I said, I'm retired from the utility company. We burn coal. And then, but I retired. But then Obama pushed the thing, and they made him shut all the plants down and go to natural gas. Well, when we were burning coal, gas was always a backup. If the equipment, ash handling, the pollution stuff, all that stuff. And it would take an act of God to switch to gas. Serious, because and if you ever see what it took to burn coal,
we shouldn't be doing either. We get so many millions of ergs from the sun every day. If you were an alien race, and you came to this planet and you said, wait a minute, let me get this clear. You got all that energy coming from the sun every day, and instead you're digging into the ground to find something you can burn so that you have energy? That makes no sense. We can do better. We will do better. We have to do better, because in a couple of years, and I'm not talking, probably not in your lifetime or my lifetime, but in our kids' lifetime, the planet is going to become uninhabitable if we don't do something about that soon. And that means not burning coal, but not even burning methane, not burning anything. We're going to have a big problem, and it's coming. And, to hide your head in the sand and deny it is insane. It's insane. It's very disappointing to people who believe in science and believe the scientists, and you don't even have to believe the scientists, see it happening all around us, to say, what the hell? Let's just burn more coal, methane, and gasoline. What the hell? Let's just do it. when in fact solar power, wind power, water power, hydrothermal power is available. It's actually better for the economy, and it's sure a heck of a lot better for the planet. We got to do something. We can't just sit here and continue to burn stuff and hope it's all going to work out. And if you think technology is going to save us, got bad news for you. They're not. Marlon, Hinckley, Minnesota. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Marlon.
Hi. Got a couple quick questions. I think first one is I've got an iPhone 13 Pro, and a bit embarrassingly, I did bite on a FedEx actually delivery thing from India, and I
wait a minute. You got your iPhone Pro from India?
No. I'm sorry. I have an iPhone Pro.
Oh, you have one?
And
you got a text message saying it was from FedEx, but it wasn't.
Correct. And I did use my credit card to pay this item. I actually know people in India, so that it could have been something, but it wasn't. I later found out.
Yeah.
But and so I put my credit card in, and after I did that, I started thinking and checked with FedEx. They said, nope, actually that package, they had a valid package number.
Oh, wow.
But that it wasn't addressed to me. And when I went to that site, it said, the VAT, value added tax, which is a European thing, which we don't do over here, but it certainly seemed legit, and it was all of like $3. Anyway.
But now they have your credit card number, too. That's even more of a cause for concern.
And I immediately canceled my credit card literally like an hour after I did the payment.
And the good thing about a credit card is you're not liable for fraudulent payments. So go back and look at your statement.
They were reassuring about that, and they're going to send me a new credit card. I guess I'm wondering, one, do I need to reset my iPhone, or am I okay just leaving it as it is?
Well, in theory, it is possible for them to hack your iPhone with what they call a zero-click attack. But these attacks are so tricky that they are very expensive. There's you might have heard in the news about an Israeli company called the NSO Group that has an attack called Pegasus. But to get it from the NSO Group, you have to spend literally millions of dollars. So only governments do it. And they do it to go after dissidents, diplomats, spies, that kind of thing. So unless you're working for a 3-letter agency out of Langley, VA, I take it you're not. You're not a target, in other words, for another nation state. You're probably all right. It was a simple phishing attack. They got what they wanted, which is some money and your credit card number. And you're not liable for either, so that's the good news.
And I did end up sending that to FedEx after I said, are you guys interested in this? And they said, yeah, actually, if you could.
Oh, yeah, they do. And of course, the question is, how did they get that tracking number? So that's a flaw in the FedEx system that they need to patch. You've learned your lesson. Everybody listening, be very careful about those text messages. They can be fraudulent. And in theory, your iPhone could be compromised. But again, it's such an expensive attack. It's highly unlikely for just a normal person. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. If you were really concerned about it, the good news is it's fairly easy to do a factory reset on your iPhone. In fact, it'd probably be worth doing it anyway, Marlon, just because it's not such a big deal. Make sure your data is backed up to iCloud. You're probably already doing that.
Yeah.
And then you just...
And that's my... And that's my question, because I thought, well, I'd rather be on the safe side, because I want to do, occasional banking or something on there.
Yeah, you want to feel safe in your phone. Absolutely, yeah.
That's it. And so if it's up in the iCloud and I do a factory reset, will it automatically boot it back down then, or how does it do that?
Yeah. It comes down automatically. You'll see as you may not remember when you first got your iPhone 13. It's going to look just like that.
Long ago.
Yeah, wasn't that long ago. It's going to look just like that. And it's going to say, do you have data that you'd like to copy from a previous iPhone or from an existing iPhone? And you just say, yeah, I want to copy the data from my iCloud backup. It'll all go whoop.
Perfect.
You may have to re-enter every few things. If you do an encrypted backup, you'll remember Wi-Fi passwords. You may have to re-log into some apps, things like that.
Perfect. Say one other fast question here. I'm trying to get more Ethernet plugins, ports, whatever you want to call them, because my cables are all to things. And I've got an old device that I inherited, and again, you're my tech guy, and so I feel like now when I kind of go after technology stuff, at least I got a half shot at getting it right. I mean, you do it correctly.
I get it wrong a lot too, but okay.
Well, anyway, so you give me at least a half a shot.
I'll give you half a shot, yeah.
and that's because of my limitation, not because of your limitation. Anyway, my question is, what I inherited was a Cisco ASA 5505 series adaptive security appliance.
Ah.
And I'm wondering, if it's old. I mean, it's from like certainly before COVID, like 3, 4, 5 years ago. And is it okay just at home? I mean, and I'm out in the country. At home, can I use this as a way to get more Ethernet ports?
Oh, yeah, because that device was end of life, no longer patched in 2017. So it's certainly, I would say, probably vulnerable by itself. But if you're using it inside your router, just as in effect a network switch, it's probably okay because it's not as accessible to the outside world. I wouldn't put it on the public internet. Don't put it right on your cable modem. But if it's inside a router and you're just using it as a switch, yeah, it's probably okay.
So if I run it off, because I have my main, I've got the DSL. I'm out in the country here, and then I run that to my. Actually, I have 2 Wi-Fi units going, Netgear. And so if I plug this into one of my Netgear Wi-Fi routers, then run it off of that, that's safe enough?
Probably. I mean, look, for $50 you can get a 16-port switch.
Okay.
That would be.
Well, then I guess I did. Well, yeah, I'll just do that.
That would be safer. They're cheap.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, 16 ports, that's a lot of ports.
Yeah.
You probably don't even need that many.
No, that's a lot of cable too, but no.
You can get an 8-port router for even less. You just get what you want is a network switch, and they're pretty cheap. The Cisco, if it's inside your network, probably is not dangerous, but Cisco's have been known to have.
That's what
it's end of life, and they're known to have flaws. So.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Well,
a dumb switch is going to be safer because it's just dumb. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, perfect. Well, excellent. Hey, thanks so much. You always do a great job. I really appreciate the information.
Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. Have a good one. All right.
Thanks.
See you, Marlon.
Bye-bye.
Oh, really? Oh. So when we did it was you don't have PG&E, Dr. Mom, probably. When we did it with PG&E, they said you can install solar panels. You may not install more solar panel capacity than you use, that's got to change. That's got to change, right? Why not? The problem is that PG&E's business is not selling electricity. It's building plants. Yeah, see, San Diego Gas and Electric probably lets you do it. Their business, they're a for-profit business. And their business model is, building plants. So they don't want us to compete with them. They see us as competition, which is not a good solution to our woes. If the power company, which has an absolute monopoly, is a for-profit entity and won't let you compete with them, that is not the way to energy independence. Yeah, all of our, but they have different policies, right? All of our, in California, this is crazy. Why the state doesn't own the electrical grid is beyond me. It's just insane. Well, good news, Pirates Cove. You won't need furnaces in about 30 years. Your climate will be equatorial. See, everybody wins, as long as you're not underwater by then. I think one thing to understand about customer satisfaction ratings in electrical vehicles is a lot of what people like is the fact that it's an electrical vehicle. If it's their only electrical vehicle, they're going, oh, I love my Tesla. Because they don't understand what they love about the Tesla is that it's electric, not that it's a Tesla. An electric vehicle is so much more fun to drive and so much cheaper to own. Not cheaper to buy, alas, but lots cheaper to own, that people love it. But sometimes I think it gets subscribed to Tesla because most Tesla owners are first-time electrical vehicle buyers, and they've never tried anything but Tesla. Supercharging helps, but honestly, there's more Electrify America superchargers near me and everywhere I go than there are superchargers now. There's only one supercharger in Petaluma, and in most places. Cars, chainsaws, and cows. It's funny, I did an interview 25 years ago with a guy talking about climate change. And he said the big 3 C's, cars, chainsaws, and cows, are the biggest problem with climate change. Chainsaws being, deforesting, particularly in the Amazon, the lungs of the earth. And even 35 years ago, we knew this. They don't kill a lot of birds, Jeff. Go do some research. That's another BS statistic from the right, from the gas industry. Do some research. You know what kills a lot of birds? Windows. Far more than turbines. Far more. Millions more. Cats. More than that. Just Google what kills birds. And you'll see wind turbines are way down the list. Cats kill 2.4 billion birds a year. Turbines, 1/100,000th of that. Kitty cats. Then collisions with building glass, almost 600 million birds a year in the U.S. only. Collision with vehicles, 214,000, a million. Poison, 72 million. Electrical lines, 25.5 million. Electrocutions, 5.6 million. Land-based wind turbines, 234,000. So if somebody says to you, oh, can't have wind turbines, they kill birds, as Dr. Bird once said on this show, you just, give them some facts. Facts. Oh, that's right. We don't have facts anymore. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, technology. That's what this show's about. Anything with a chip in it, or not, actually. I've said that for years, but I realized, wait a minute, the internet doesn't really have a chip in it. I mean, it runs on things with chips in them. So anything with a chip in it, or that runs on a thing with a chip in it. How about that? 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. Lines are open. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you should be able to use Skype out. It shouldn't cost you anything. The website where all the links go is techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. And that's open and free to all. So please, if you hear something on the air, you don't have to write it down. Just go to techguylabs.com. Gabriel, next on the line from Los Angeles. Hello, Gabriel.
Hey, Leo, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
Well, I'm good now. I'm hoping you could explain something to me, because I think there might be some little secret between the cell phone companies and internet companies.
They're all out to get us. That's the secret.
Well, that too. I noticed I was going home, and I noticed like 5 bucket trucks working on some kind of, fiber optic lines, power lines, something. Apparently there was a fire. As soon as I get home, my Spectrum internet was out, and I have Verizon for wireless because I figure, hey, if Spectrum's down, then I can still, access my mobile data through my cell phone. That was out too.
Yeah.
And I called both. Both Spectrum, Verizon couldn't really explain how one had to do with another.
Because the poor guy answering the phone, the $7.25 an hour employee answering the phone, only knows what's in the notebook in front of him, and that's a fairly complicated thing, But essentially, all networks are interconnected, so it depends where the outage was. That's really the answer. Depends where the ultimate outage was. Was power out? Was that what caused it, or was it just went out?
I'm not sure if it was power. I had power too.
You had power in your house? Okay. So it was something upstream from you. The topology of the internet is complicated, but it's all interconnected in some way. So the probably what was out, if you had numerous providers who were out at the same time, was the May, and you're in LA, so it'd be May West. May stands for Metropolitan Area Exchange, and it is where think of it as if you think of the internet as a wagon wheel, and we're on the rim, and there's all those spokes going in, there's a hub in the middle. That hub is May West. And if May West goes down, all the providers that are connected to it go down. May West is what then connects to the backbones that go across country and across the world. So it seems like, for instance, if you plug into your fiber, that it should connect anywhere in the world independently of anybody else, but it's in fact absolutely not the case. The internet is very interconnected. It also is designed to route around problems, and that's why I'm thinking it was probably May West that went down, because there are some problems that are so significant that they can't be routed around. If just one of the servers you go through, for instance, went down, it would just go to the next server over and the next server over. But there are big interconnect points that when they go down, everything's down. So
now it makes me wonder: does the cell phone mobile data, without us knowing, access, let's say, the Wi-Fi, like from my neighbors?
No.
Down?
But it's ultimately going from the same source. So to understand how your cell phone data works, there's towers. You know that. That's how your voice works on cell phone. But those towers also carry data. They're antennas. They have what we call backhauls, big, fat, usually fiber connections back to a central point, the central office for the mobile carrier, for instance, who is then connected via more fiber to another interconnect up to May West in your case. So if those interconnects go down, it will bring down your spectrum, your cable modem. It'll bring down your cell because it's way upstream. So they are independent, but only to a point. At some point, it all kind of, like a wagon wheel, comes to a hub.
Yeah.
So when it's not typical. It won't always. It won't always happen. It's rare. That's a big thing if that goes down.
The first time it happened, and the phone calls worked, but with the data, I guess it makes sense. Everything wireless relies on wires.
Yes. Think about it. Your Wi-Fi is the same way. At some point, it goes to a wire in the wall, right? So there's no, So I'm making it much more simple than it is. It's very complicated. It's very interconnected. It is designed, they used to say, it's not exactly true, but they used to say the internet was designed to survive a nuclear attack because it was designed originally for the U.S. Defense Department as part of the Defense Advanced Research Projects Administration, or DARPA, back in the 60s. And when they designed it, they did want it to be redundant in the sense that it would be less prone to failure. They didn't really design it to avoid nuclear attack, to get a route around nuclear attack, but it does route around a lot of issues. If both your cable company and your phone internet go down and your fiber goes down, that means there's a problem way upstream, and that not only your whole neighborhood, but maybe that whole city. Are you in Los Angeles proper?
Los Angeles County.
Okay. So it may be the interconnect from the county into something downtown went down. You know, it's actually it's a very complicated system. I've oversimplified.
Was wrong.
Yeah.
When I pulled up into the neighborhood and there was kids playing outside, and neighbors outside.
Oh my God!
So
there's children. Yeah. I know. You know, maybe it's not such a bad thing. Isn't that funny?
Well, thank you. And I think this kind of exposed them a little bit. And I'm like, okay, now I was a little. I was a little incorrect to think if I give my business to different.
No, you're not.
Providers.
You're not. So, for instance,
I'm foolproofing myself.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. If the United States, you know, were under attack and the entire internet went down, there'd be nothing you could do to route around that. But redundancy does help. So, for instance, here in this studio, because we stream live, much of the day, Monday through Sunday. We have 3 redundant connections. We have a fiber connection, we have a cable connection, and we have a phone company connection. And we do that for that exact reason. But you can't prevent all failure. So it's completely possible if there were a catastrophic failure that all 3 would go out. But we're banking that most of the time one of the 3 will work. And you're doing the right thing. If you don't mind the expense.
No, and you know when I called Verizon, they did say that, like, hey, if one network or infrastructure goes down, it should back up to another one. And I did the phone restart, but like you say, it was probably a bigger problem than we realized at the time.
And the person you're talking to may not have of a proper pay grade to understand what's going on.
Yeah, well, I get it. Yeah,
if you're curious about this, there are internet maps that will, if you look at them, will give you some idea of how crazy it is. Internetmap.net, internet-map.net. You can look at it and you will see how interconnected we all are, and yet how brilliantly designed it is to route around errors and failures. But if a failure is big enough, nothing can route around it. So there's a number of places you can, in fact, I've for a long time wanted to get one of these printed out. Just, for instance, the undersea cable map. Fascinating. 8888 asked, I'm glad you asked. It's a great question. And it really, I hope it prompts some curiosity to look into kind of how the internet works, because it's really a remarkable achievement. It's amazing that it works, frankly. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let's see if I can find a good internet map. Hello, Rod Pyle.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I am very well. How are you?
Well, I'm okay. I didn't know you went to Santa Cruz High School. I spent a lot of time in Santa Cruz around that time. In
what?
The 70s.
You kidding?
Yeah. It was one of my favorite places. Love to hang out at the boardwalk and wander town, and
couldn't wait to get out of there.
all the weird people downtown, and the so-called hippie shops back in the day.
Yeah, before the earthquake, before the 1989 earthquake, it was amazing.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
It was a cool little town. I could never figure my way around though. It's a confusing. The first few times you're there, it's kind of a confusing layout.
Well, if you just gone up the hill a little on Maple Street to Santa Cruz High, you could have asked me. I could have helped you.
If only I had known.
I could have showed you.
I was too busy riding the Giant Dipper 3 and 4 times an afternoon.
Oh, yeah. We love doing that.
Oh, my Lord. What a great roller coaster.
Love doing that.
I don't mean to geek out about the wrong stuff, but man, an old wooden roller coaster like that, there's just nothing else like it.
Well, I've told my story about that before, but when I was in high school, I didn't like roller coasters, never went on them. My girlfriend persuaded me to go on the Big Dipper. And it's a rickety old railroad car, not the safest probably in the world. And the thing that's most terrifying is there's a wooden tunnel that you go into, and you can just feel the beams over you going,
yes,
inches above your head.
If one of those things had come loose, having been built in 1924 4, I believe. If one of those had come loose and come down, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
Just your head's on.
And people have died on it. So, I went on it because, I was 16 and my girlfriend was beautiful. And I said, okay.
You didn't want to be shamed,
I didn't want to be shamed. But, of course, I was shamed because as soon as I got off of it, I fell to my knees in tears and said, never again. And you know what? I've been on Space Mountain because that's kind of that's not as bad. I trust Disney not to kill me.
I suppose. Although Santa Cruz has a good record.
Well, when I was a kid, there was a sailor who stood up on it and promptly ran into one of those beams.
Well, whose fault was that?
Yeah, no, that's not their fault.
And now they have a crash bar, so it's a little harder to.
Yeah,
you
can't
did upgrade the whole.
Yeah,
thing.
my God.
Yeah,
it was really like little mining carts.
Yeah. There was one like that in San Diego, built about the same time, also out of wood.
Yeah.
And I remember going to that as a kid. And when the coaster rounded the curve, I kid you not, the whole structure leaned from the force.
Yeah.
And that was designed in. I mean, that's what wood does,
that's great fun, isn't it? Yeah.
But that one had no seat belts and just a hand bar that you held. And a number of them had little welds on them where they had cement and stuff. Maybe it was for effect. I don't know. But I thought,
it worked.
Yeah,
it worked.
That one.
It got you. It got you. We're looking at maps of the internet here. This is fun.
Oh, sorry. I'm dragging
No,
you
that's
off
fine.
Other
No.
territory. Were you a fan of the Felton Railroad?
Yes. God, that was fun. What was it, the skunk train?
No, that's up further north. This was Roaring Camp.
Roaring Camp. That's it.
Yeah.
Loved Roaring Camp.
Now they run a diesel down to the boardwalk.
No, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
so
train track used to be commercial traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess that closed. So they run a couple a day, at least during the summer down there, which, it's not the steam train, but it's still fun. The only bummer was when that trestle burned out, I guess still the steam trains go about halfway up and then they have to reverse out and come back down backwards.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Because a wooden trestle burned out.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's right.
I'm geeking out over steam trains here.
Oh, I love trains. No. You've been to the Sacramento Railroad Museum, I'm sure.
Years ago.
Yeah.
What I haven't done is what's the one, is it in Colorado or New Mexico? It's
I got to run.
Right?
We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Somebody in the chat room found a great map of the internet. Infrapedia.com/app. INFRAPEDIA. And I'm just looking at the map of interconnects in LA County. And holy camole. I said it was like a wagon wheel with spoke and a hub. It's a little more complicated than that. But you can look at this map and you can see where the connects are, where the backbones are, where they call it peering, when two providers connect to one another to eliminate bandwidth costs outside of their network. And you can see all of this stuff. And it's incredibly complex. And it's completely conceivable that at some point a provider lost its interconnect and, just things go down. When you really understand how this works, or not understand, but at least see how it works, I think you get a pretty good idea of how complicated it is. And that's when you say, I can't, how did we get here? How did we invent this? It's amazing. And you've got to give a lot of credit to the early pioneers of the internet. These really brilliant men and women who spend a lot of high-end brain power thinking about how this could work and expand. It always blows me away when you hear things like Facebook has 3.5 billion users, and yet you can go to a Facebook page and it loads like that. I mean, imagine the prowess, the network skills, the amount of hardware it requires. It's just mind-boggling. It's hard to believe it works, and yet it does. Easily the most complex thing human beings have ever made. Julie on the line from Downey, California, our next caller. Hi, Julie. I pressed, wait a minute. I have to press one more button. There we go. There we are. Hi, Julie.
Okay. Good morning.
My fault.
So, no problem. So my 87-year-old mother has an HP laptop that she hates.
Yeah, I don't blame her. I would too.
Yeah.
If I were
It's
87.
kind of a hand-me-down, okay?
Yeah.
So she is sold on wanting an Apple product. She has an iPhone. She has an iPad. And I'm not very well versed in Apple, so she
How's her vision?
email.
How's her vision? Does she want a big screen? I think she does.
I'll tell you what. Yes, her vision. She goes like every 6 weeks to get a shot in her eye. So her vision's not.
Yeah. So she'd do better with a bigger screen, I would think, not a laptop. In other words.
Okay.
I'm just thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of the reason she hates that HP laptop. She probably has to put her nose against the screen just to read it.
That, and it just takes forever to boot up and to go from site to site. She does a lot of research on, medications and finances, things like that.
So for most people, my mom's 89, and she loves her Macs, and she loves her iPad even more. But her eyesight's pretty good. The iPad's a very small screen, so I'm not sure for your mom, I would recommend that. In fact,
she's already got one of those. Okay.
And normally what I recommend for people who aren't anxious to become computer wizards is a Chromebook, or in this case, a Chromebox. But if she really wants a Mac, that's fine. It's just, they're a little more pricey. So look at Chromeboxes. These are little boxes that attach to screens, and you can make them as big as you want. I would say for her, a 27-inch screen would be great. But they're very limited. They're much more secure because it's just a Chrome browser and nothing else. But I bet you that everything she does is in the browser, her email, the sites she's researching, all that stuff. And those, it's very hard to get into trouble with those. You can't accidentally click a link that gets you malware or anything like that. So that's and they're less expensive. Chromebox, you can see them on Amazon. You go to the big box stores and look at them and get a nice big screen. The other choice, if she's, a set on a Mac, is to get a Mac Mini, which is like a Chromebox. It's just a little small square box that has all the Mac stuff in it, but you buy a keyboard, mouse, and monitor, and you could get one that suits her needs. They make keyboards for seniors. They get mice. They're all different kinds. She might prefer a trackball to a moving mouse, but for sure, you could then put a big screen on it, and I think a big screen with a Mac Mini would be a good choice. But Mac Minis, I think they start at $600 or $700. That's minus the keyboard, mouse, and monitor.
All the other stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not inexpensive. But I'm using a Mac Mini right now on a Samsung 31-inch monitor. It's over here to my left, and I love it. It's just great. It's really fast. It's easy to use. If she's already in the iPhone universe, she's somewhat comfortable with Apple as a company. That's I understand why she wants a Mac. So that's a possibility too. I honestly, for most people, a Chromebox or Chromebooks are the laptops. Chromeboxes are the Mac Mini style box that you attach to a computer. A monitor rather.
And if she wanted a laptop, because she lives in an apartment and she works on her dining room.
Oh, she wants to move around. Yeah.
Right. So if people come over, she wants to.
I understand. Then the MacBook Air, which is under $1,000. Get the new one, the M1 based MacBook Air. Very good choice. Very good choice.
Okay. She's been talking to someone about refurbished things. And
you save a few $100. Refurbished, though, you buy the problems that it got returned for in the first place. Okay. Unless you're buying refurbished from Apple. Apple does have their own refurbished store. Those are absolutely as good as buying new, but they're not much cheaper. You'll save a few $100.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So you can Google Apple refurbished, and you'll see the refurbished Macs, and they say save up to 15%. It's not a huge savings.
Right.
If you got to, as you know, you can't do something if you buy something she doesn't want. You're throwing your money away. So while a Chromebox would probably be a better choice for her, if she's really says no, I want an Apple. Get her a MacBook Air. They're very thin, very light, very nice. And you can get it refurbished from Apple for $850.
Okay.
That's a pretty good price.
I'm in LA. She's in New York, so I have this small window.
Oh, I know.
Out there, right?
My mom's in Cranston, Rhode Island, and I'm out here in California. And I miss her. I miss her. But now that things are turning up, I'm gonna go out there next month. And
I'm heading out later this week.
Yeah, bring her a MacBook Air. You go down to the Apple store. If you want to buy it online, you can order it online from the Apple refurbished store. Save $150. That's not insignificant. That's 15%.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, thanks for your help.
My pleasure. I'm glad to help. My mom, of course, is well equipped with technology, as you might imagine. And it's so funny because it's confusing because when I FaceTime her, everything in the house rings. And she invariably answers on the wrong thing. I said, Mom, just answer on the... She says, I want to answer on the old iPad because it's got a headphone jack. I said, okay, only answer on that then. Please. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I call my mom all the time. I do. Ha, 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 ha. There's so much space news, Rod Pyle.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's what happens, Joy. I call her on video on FaceTime. She answers on the phone. And I say, Mom, I know the phone rang, but so did everything else. And I can't transfer it over to the iPad. So I'm going to hang up and go over to your iPad, plug in your headphones, and I'm going to call you again and answer on the iPad. She goes, oh, okay. Every single time. But when I call, I can hear, because she'll answer, and I still hear all the other devices. It's like a Swiss clockmaker's shop at noon. Everything's going off in the whole house. Everything. So it's time for a great big steaming pile of space, as Rintaro says.
Wow.
I would never.
Kind of frightening.
I would never say that.
No. And, speaking of mothers,
yes.
Mine's gone now, but, it's not going to be too long before we're those technological backwards. Not you as much as me.
No. I think about that all the time.
Which picture do I click?
I tell my kids, I said, I hope you'll be nice to me when I say, I don't know how to use a transducer phone for transmitting an object to you. Dad, you just press the frameter and turn it to 7. Where's the frameter? Dad, I told you.
What's Aunt Pruitt doing in the chat room? He wants me to tell you a joke?
Oh, yeah, your dad jokes that you and Tarek, the battling jokes. And John has got the weekend off because John has to take time off. So what he does is he, Ant's his coverage on Sunday. And I think Burke's here too. And then Saturday, I think it's Burke. And so, but John is so conscientious. He came in both days to make sure they're all ready. Aww. And then he leaves them after a little while on their own. But he's going to get hip surgery at some point in the near future and be gone for a few weeks.
He's young.
Yeah. Ant's had hip surgery. It's not uncommon. We had Cory Doctorow on last week. He said the show has to be 2.5 hours because I can't sit for any longer than that. He got both hips did. He saved his femur, the top of his femur. He's going to make it a knob on a walking stick. He got it.
I was going to think a gear shift knob, but not manual anymore.
He got it. It's hysterical. He got it cast in brass. He put it on Thingiverse and on Internet Archive.
Oh, I think I read about this.
Yeah.
It became kind of a thing.
Yeah, if you want Corey's femur, if you want to make a 3D printout of the top of Corey's femur, you can. It's hysterical. He also has his hip socket in a Tupperware.
Well, so if it's between that and a great big steaming pile of space, I think I'll take the steaming pile.
Yes, thank you. What do you want to talk about today, Mr. Paceman?
Well, we got a couple of things. Rocket Lab caught their falling booster with a helicopter.
Oh, good. It worked.
But kind of more, that's exciting, but it hasn't been reported much, but DARPA has solicited a second round of contracts from big companies for nuclear rockets, which isn't being talked about enough because that's the big
I
game
don't
changer.
want nuclear rockets.
They are fantastic.
Well, what if they blow up in space? I mean, on the way up. Space is fine.
On the way up, that's bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's bad. But rockets blow up.
Okay, but this has happened a couple of times, and at least on the American side, and these were nuclear fuel containers. They weren't reactors. But these things are sufficiently casketed that they can survive plunging into the ocean, and you just go fetch them. So it's not it's not ideal.
So they're impervious to explosion. They don't explode.
We hope they're impervious. That's a strong word. They're it's like a water resistant tent when you're camping, right? Don't touch it when it's wet, or it's going to cease to be water resistant. I think they're explosion resistant. Let's say that.
No, this is a terrible idea. Hold on. Here we go.
All right.
Well, they caught it with a helicopter, but then they dropped it. Rod Pyle is here. They let it go because it was, anyway, Rod Pyle, our space guy, is here, editor-in-chief of Ad Astra magazine.
Here come the books.
I got a pile of books that he's written. He is a master of explaining space stuff. His podcast, he's the editor-in-chief of Ad Astra magazine at the National Space Society. His partner is Tariq Malik, editor-in-chief at space.com, and together they do a show called This Week in Space at twit.tv/space, which is a shameless plug since it is my podcast network. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Rod Pyle. Hello, Rod.
Thank you for the killer intro as always, and hello.
Well, it's a little self-serving, but okay.
That's okay. I got to start recording those, just playing them everywhere I go. I'll just carry a little
ladies and gentlemen,
around.
Boys and girls,
Leo Laporte thinks. Yeah,
astronauts of all ages.
No, I'll just have you do your Uncle Walter. That'll be better.
Yeah. Here he is, the man of the hour, Rod.
I think I was
Pyle.
12 years old when he was covering all that stuff. So yeah, we had a cool week in space, and I'll just hit a couple highlights. So Rocket Lab, which is a small company out of New Zealand that's also co-located in the U.S., has been flying their rockets for a few years now, and they're small. They're about 2/3 the thrust of the X-15, so they carry very small payloads. But last week, Monday, they launched 34 microsats, and then as the first stage booster was coming back as planned, it's parachuting down towards the ocean, and they went out with a helicopter to attempt to catch. They had tried that before and not succeeded. This time they did succeed in snagging the parachute lines, which is what they intended. But the loads were too much, and the helicopter pilot said, I got to let it go, so they dropped it. They did recover it from the ocean.
It's like when,
You thinking of the right stuff?
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking like somebody says, here, catch this box, and you go, I got it, I don't got it.
And it's coming at you at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Well, and this thing was falling fast. So I think the problem probably was the load because of the amount of motion it had, heading down.
Yeah.
So they had tried to test and account for that, but you can only test so much. This thing's coming back from near orbital velocities. So, it's like SpaceX. You try it and you keep trying it until you get it right. And,
this was the first time.
Clear. Yeah, but we've been doing this since the space age. I mean, those military satellites that used to take pictures of Russian launch sites in the 60s didn't transmit back that stuff electronically.
They dropped the film.
They ejected film cartridges.
Yeah,
right. You caught those with a helicopter, and it was very dicey business. So it's something that's known how to do. And actually, United Launch Alliance has been trying to test the same thing for their new Vulcan rocket. At one point, they were going to eject the engine pod and catch it. I don't know if that's still the plan or not. So it's something that we'll probably see more of. But, I mean, Musk flies his rockets back autonomously. I like that a lot. The idea of being out there with a helicopter when this thing is hurtling back, I'm sure it's very safe, and I'm sure they've got it wired, but it would be a little scary.
Wow.
That thing's hurtling down, and you're there in a chopper. But also cool,
yes,
DARPA, our friends at the
I was just talking about them.
Right. So they're the ones that do all the cool stuff for the military, but a lot of civilian applications too. They issued a new solicitation on May 4th for nuclear rocket engines. This is phase 2. And we covered that on our first public episode of This Week in Space.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
So a nuclear rocket engine.
Yes.
How does that work?
So this isn't the old Project Orion you may have heard of, where it actually sets off atom bombs to propel itself.
That seems like a bad idea.
Well, in space it's okay. On Earth it's not so good. This is a fission reactor. It's only used in space. This doesn't launch to the ground. You launch it up on a traditional rocket, conventional rocket, and then once in space you fire up the reactor. It's miraculously simple. You just have a heat source from a fission reactor.
Yeah.
Which, of course, you have to, shield it properly to make sure if something goes wrong during launch, it's safe and falls in the ocean and can be retrieved. But you've got a fission reactor that just heats up hydrogen. It comes blasting out the back end, and off it goes. And it's between 2 and 4 times more efficient than any chemical rocket ever. So you're talking about cutting transit times to the moon and Mars by as much as anywhere from 30% to half.
Now, the only concern, and this was a concern with Orion, is when you're launching nuclear fissible material. Is it plutonium?
Right. Well, this is actually low enriched uranium, so it's not nearly as dangerous as it would have been in the past.
Because if it blows
still
up
not great
on
stuff.
the way into orbit, you potentially are spreading that fissionable material all over. Now, plutonium is very poisonous, so you
Plutonium's bad.
You wouldn't want that in the atmosphere. Is enriched uranium less of a problem?
Less so.
Half-life is shorter. It's only 235 years.
Well, now you're getting picky.
238.
But, I mean, they've been working with this stuff a long time. And I don't mean to sound like a nuclear hawk because I'm not, but they've been working with this stuff a long time. They tested this basic technology in the 60s with a nuclear test engine. I think I've talked about that before.
So what is it? They enclose it in something so if it blows up, it's not going to blow up in the atmosphere.
That's the idea, yeah. And that's part of what I think these validation tests are for. So they're the second phase of the contract, they want to fly this by 2026. The second phase is to design and test an experimental unit, and then the third phase in a couple of years will be to actually fly it in orbit and test it there.
Nice.
But we ran one of these things that was designed by the military and General Atomics back in the 1960s out in Nevada desert for over an hour. So
there's a
they're
name
much
you
more
don't hear a lot
efficient than
anymore.
rockets.
General Atomics.
General Atomics, and the place they tested it, which I love, was Jackass Flats. Because if you're going to pollute something with nuclear fallout, it might as well be Jackass Flats, right?
Yeah.
So the new testing, though, will be self-contained, so nothing, there will be no fallout escaping. So this is all good. And while there are some concerns that they do have to work past, I mean, people are watching this very closely. This isn't 1959 anymore, where it's atoms for peace and all that. This really changes everything up there, because now you're not. To make a Mars flight now, depending on who you listen to, we'd have to launch possibly as many as 10 SLSs just to get the fuel up there.
Yeah.
You got one nuclear rocket, you load it up and you go. It can fly back and forth 10 times.
Can it go a long way?
Basically, these things will run depending on how much fuel they're carrying, they can run for years and years and years.
Interesting. Okay.
So, yeah, and there's a lot of places
like
to get hydrogen out
solar sails or something like that. Is that
so there's a solar electric variant on the nuclear rocket that is less efficient and bulkier. Solar sails work well for leaving. They're hard to come back on because it's solar wind pushing on it, right?
It's just like a sailboat. You don't have to tack all the way home.
Right. And they accelerate very, very slowly. So the good thing is they're constant and the energy's free.
Yeah.
The bad thing is, they take a long time to get there. So, there's going to ultimately be a calculus to figure out okay, what do you want to put the people on and what do you want to put the cargo on? You want the cargo to get there cheap and slow. You want the people to get there fast so they're not exposed to radiation for any longer than they have to be and zero-G and all that. So this may end up being the deluxe ride for humans just to get there quickly, but we'll see.
It's as Captain Pike said in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah, I finally watched it.
How was it?
It's just like the old Star Trek, hokey, corny, with a nice moral at the end.
Yes.
I don't think it's saying anything to say he saves the aliens by telling him the story of how everything went wrong on planet Earth. And here you have a chance to avoid that and, have a better. And for some reason, the aliens, unlike us, go, oh, you're right. And peace reigns and all is well. And it's one of those, it's a classic Star Trek. So if you like the original series and the kind of the nice, alien, there was even a fight,
and the
a bad fist fight where they're.
Oh, did his shirt get torn on the shoulder?
I didn't notice that. No, and there were no red shirts who died. In fact, nobody died in this episode. So. But it was fun. It was very reminiscent of the original Star Trek with better
that's cool.
effects.
Okay, I got to check it out.
Rod Pyle, editor-in-chief
you,
at Astra. Thank you, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm watching. Lisa's only listening with half an ear while I'm commenting all the way. Spock is great. I mean, so first of all, it's a prequel, right? But it's like there is apparently, we haven't seen him yet, a Lieutenant Kirk on board. So it's just like right before the original series. And Spock is Spock, but he's a young Spock. And they got some perfect for the part. He even sounds like Spock. And although he takes his shirt off, which is pretty exciting.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. And Lisa says, not that bald old guy as the captain again. I want the sexy young guy.
Oh, ow.
And I said, you're going to like Captain Pike, Lisa. He's gray, but he's not bald.
This is Pike before they turn him into a mound of slag.
No, in fact, he has flashbacks. It's very interesting. He apparently has seen his death ahead of time, and so he has I guess they're flash forwards. It's definitely for the Star Trek fan, and if you had never heard of Star Trek and you watched it, you'd say this is the corniest show ever. But it's the same cornball as the original. In the same spirit.
Well, you want corny. You watch the original pilot, that first pilot they shot of Trek, because they shot two.
Yeah.
And
that's the Pike
Spock
one, right?
And Spock was yelling and emoting and waving his hands around. He was not the cool Vulcan.
No. This is the cool Spock.
Yeah.
And they have a little nurse,
Nurse Chapel.
Nurse Chapel is young and hot. Yeah. And she's in it, and she has a little kind of wry sense of humor. It's pretty. It's cute.
Yeah.
It's definitely tongue in cheek. Knowing that you're a Star Trek fan if you're watching it.
So is it 50 plus years of evolution from the original?
Oh God, yeah. The CGI and everything is good. Yeah.
Well, have you watched any of the originals since they remastered them with new effects?
No, I hear they're quite good. Yeah.
They actually are. It was a few years ago, so by today's standards, it's not quite what
it's
you'd
DVD
expect, but
quality
they're watchable now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you look at one.
You don't see the strings anymore
out here, but well, yeah. But the Doomsday Machine, if you remember that, where they had that big thing that looked like a bugle, attacking all the planets, and I mean the corn bugle, the one you eat. Yeah, that's quite good.
Oh, good.
And the acting is first, and they re-digitized everything.
Yeah.
They retransferred it all. So it actually really holds up. The colors are a little fluorescent, but it's worth checking out.
Well, you'll like this because I think the look of it is great.
Yeah.
I liked the Chris Pine movies, actually, quite a bit. But
I like the first two.
These aren't the reboot. These are back to
one,
the old universe. Yeah.
That second one with
I only liked the first one.
Khan.
Yeah.
Man, it's like they took a plot element from every show and movie ever made and jammed it all into 2.5 hours. And you're watching this thinking, is this ever going to end? What's going on? Oh, another switchback. How about that?
Yeah.
But
yeah, geek. If you're a Star Trek fan, you're gonna want to see Strange New Worlds. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, sorry, but I have to go here if we have a moment. Do you remember the Lost in Space pilot? Did you ever see the pilot episode
of the original Lost in Space?
Of the original Lost in Space?
Probably did. I loved that show when I was a kid.
There was no Dr. Smith in the pilot.
There's no need to fear. Smith is here.
And it was actually kind of dull, as much as I despise Dr. Smith.
You got to have Smith. No.
And he was a bad guy.
Yeah, he was really bad. Yeah, he was really he was wicked. Comedic. Yeah.
Well, then he got silly. Yeah, when he asked the robot to hold his claw and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of like, okay, that's a bit much.
Thank you. I've got to run, Mr. Pyle. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. We'll see you
Thanks
next week.
Thanks for indulging me. Okay.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye. Thank you for letting me be your personal geek once again. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thanks to Professor Laura, our musical director. Always good. Always good. Great music again this week. Thank you, Laura. We'll put a links to all of the songs she's played over this past weekend at the website techguylabs.com. Give us a little time. It's there at the bottom of the links. It says songs, but it might not get there till tomorrow or the next day. As will audio and video from the show. All the links will be up there. Thanks to our team that does that, John Ashley and Victor Bognot and Kevin King. And if I'm leaving somebody out, thank you too. And, of course, thanks to Kim Schaffer, our phone angel. Lots of people work on the Tech Guy Show. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Of course, the real heroes of the show are you, those of you who put up with me every week and listen to the show and call in. Thank you very, very much. And happy Mother's Day, too. Clyde on the line from Torrance, California. Hello, Clyde.
Hello. This is a very interesting show today.
Thank you.
Especially about the interconnection. Over half a century ago, I attended an amateur radio club meeting on a Friday night here in Inglewood, California, and they had a speaker from the phone company, Ma Bell.
the phone company. You didn't have to say any more than that. There was only one.
That's right. All 60 states.
Yep.
He spoke about all our communications across the country, how we were all connected, and talked about cables to Europe and Asia.
Yep.
And then he talked about cables from California to this Hawaii and cables from Oregon and Washington to Alaska. He closed his meeting out by saying, "We're just like a big computer," and that was big stuff. So I got in my little compact car, went home, and had no radio. I walk in my apartment. The wife is in bed already. I didn't turn on the AM radio or my little novice station in the corner. Went right to bed. Got up early the next morning. The news clear across the AM radio spectrum was about the Alaskan earthquake, otherwise known as the Good Friday earthquake.
Yeah, in Anchorage. Yeah.
And at about the very moment that guy was showing all those cables to the 49th state, they were being parted.
Wow.
That earthquake.
Wow. Yeah, leaving Alaska isolated for some time. It was 1960.
Well, you're a licensed amateur.
Yep.
In case you didn't hear the propaganda then, most of the major communications for hours was by amateur radio.
And it's still the case. And, of course, we have emergency ham days every year where hams practice. And when Katrina happened, it was the amateur radio operators that stepped up and kept people in touch, let people know who's alive, how everybody's doing. It is a huge service amateurs provide and will always be there for, because it's a very important part of our service as amateur radio operators. So, Clyde, are you still an active ham?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, will we be hearing from you on field day?
I don't participate because I spend many hours a day transmitting and receiving for a living. But I can tell you, I can assure you that is my plan in retirement, because I'll be saying, "Where's my microphone?" And I'll know exactly where it is. It's in my shack with my radios, and you better believe it. When is field day? Is it coming up?
Okay, well, yeah, we won't be gathering this year. We'll still be doing it from home.
That's all right. Hams are used to that.
Okay, well, I just had to tell you that because I've always remembered.
That's right.
How fragile our system.
It's very fragile.
Really is.
Yeah, it's very fragile. But and I think
Leo.
Thank you, Clyde. A pleasure. What's your call sign?
Oh, do you want? Can I give it to your secretary?
Yeah, give it to my secretary. Clyde, a pleasure speaking to you. Field day coming up. It's always the fourth full weekend in June. So that means this year, June 25th and 26th, 40,000 amateur radio operators throughout North America set up temporary stations in public places to show the world what hams do. And the service to community is huge, and I think that's a lot of the reason people become amateur radio operators. If you want to know more about amateur radio, the Amateur Radio Relay League, ARRL.org, has everything you need to know, including how to become an amateur radio operator yourself. And it's much easier now. You don't need the Morse code. I'm sure Clyde learned Morse code in the day. And I wish I had. That's another thing I plan to do in retirement. But it is really, it's not only a wonderful hobby, it's an important public service. Hams are absolutely vital. There is an issue apparently with the universal licensing system right now. So the FCC is not processing new applications. I'm sure that'll be resolved soon. I'm sure that will. But look for your local ham club. That's how I got my license. There's lots of, they call them Elmers, older hams there to help you learn the skills, take the test, and get your license. Maria on the line from Burbank, California. Hi, Maria. Oh, you know the button, I've been pressing it, but it's not been working. There we go. Now you're on. Hi, Maria.
Hi.
Welcome.
I was saying that I've been listening to you for a couple of years, and this is the first time I get through. So I feel lucky today.
Bravo! She's finally here. We've been waiting for you, Maria. Welcome.
Oh.
Welcome.
So, Leo, I have a problem with my Moto E Android.
Yes.
I cannot get into the Google Play Store. When I try, it says no connection. It says error, server not found, and it gives me an error thing. It says DF-DFERH-01.
Huh.
Everything else is working.
So your browser works, you can get email, all of that stuff. So you know you're getting data. So that's what that means is the Google Play Store is broken. So
okay.
Yeah. So the first thing to do is just turn off the phone and turn it on again. Reboot it. So
I did that.
You did that. You pressed and held the on-off button until it says, restart, and you press restart and you start it up again. That didn't.
One. Yeah, not just turn off the phone. Yeah, just reboot.
Reboot. Yeah, because sometimes people think they're turning it off when they're just turning off the screen. Yeah, I mean a real restart.
Yes, I did that.
Okay. And it's interesting because you are, I just want to confirm this, you can go into the browser and you can go to a website. Yes?
Yeah, and I can also use all the other Google things that go directly, like YouTube Music, YouTube, and Gmail.
All of that's still working.
All the other stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that...
Check the settings.
Yeah.
On the app. I went and to see if it was only.
So here's what I want you to do. This will probably fix it. You're going to go, and I have to go fast because I hear the music, which means that we're almost out of time. So you're going to go to settings, and in the settings there's an applications manager, or it says apps, and you're going to go and look at all your apps, and you're going to find the one that says Google Play Store.
I did.
Okay, force stop it. There's a button that says force stop, and then this is the most important one: clear data. It's going to clear all the cached data that's probably causing the problem. Uninstall updates, which will basically strip it down, and then reinstall. And actually, before you reinstall, do one more time, restart the phone, and then do the reinstall. And that should, in almost every case, fix it. As long as your other Google stuff is still working, that means your Google account is working, your data is working. It's almost certainly just a problem with that one application. Great to talk to you. I'm glad you made it, Maria. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thanks to all of you for joining me. I will be back here next time. I hope you will too. Have a great Geek Week. Bye-bye. So, I'm sorry I had to wrap it up, but I'm still on the line with you, Maria. Don't worry.
Oh, I love you.
I love you too. Yeah. And, well, you spent the last 2 years trying to get in. I mean, least I can do is help you here.
Three.
Okay, 3. Who's counting, right? 3. Okay.
Okay, so what happened was I did go into the app information. I did clear the data.
Good.
I had updated everything until February of this year. So I did
take out all the updates. You want to get rid of them all now, right? So what you're doing is you're stripping it back to the version of the. You can't exactly uninstall the Play Store, so all you can really do is kind of get it back to the version before you when you first got the phone, before you installed any updates. So you can't uninstall it, but this is like reinstalling it. So.
When it says uninstall updates, where do I go to do that?
So let's see. Let me do it right here on my phone.
There's 3 little dots.
Yeah. So you're going to force stop it. Okay. So we force stopped it. That's the first thing to do. Under storage and cache, you're going to clear both storage and cache. Okay. Let's delete everything. That way we'll have a completely fresh and all of that will get re-downloaded, so it's not the end of the world. You're not losing anything here. And then let's see here, app details. See if it's under app details. Nope, that's not it. It says not found. Maybe there isn't maybe there used to be a way to to remove all the updates, but not anymore. Remove permissions, free up space, modify system settings. Let's see if I can do that.
Well, on the three little dots, it says uninstall the update.
That's it. Oh, there it is. You're right. You found it. Do that. So that puts it, and it says, "We'll set it back to the factory." Now, before you do anything, turn the phone all the way off. Restart it, right? So on my phone,
reboot it.
Yeah, on my phone, I have to press the volume up and the on-off switch at the same time, and then I'll get emergency lockdown, power off, and I'll get restart. So then you restart, and then after you do that, you can go to the store and update it. And in effect, that's the closest thing you can do with the store to uninstall it. You can't really uninstall it because there'd be no way to reinstall it. So
when you go to the store, if this works, then I should be able to get into the Google Play Store. But if it doesn't, then I can't get in there to
update it. Yeah, but it'll update as part of the updates. So I think that's the key. By the way, I just did everything I described to you, and I'm now rebooting my phone just to prove that'll work. But it's taking a little while to boot up. I think after you reboot, if you do updates, that's when it'll come in and you'll get the latest version. So you go, you go to the bottom of the settings and you say, update my phone. And that'll get you back to the store. And at that point, it should work.
But when you're talking about the update, is the whole update of the phone or only the app?
The app gets updated when you update the phone. Here we go. Okay, so let's do that now. So I can unlock it. Let me enter my super secret unlocking code. Okay, and now I'm going to go here. Oh, it's already doing it, I think. It just automatically. But if it doesn't, go to the gear, and then, you go to the bottom, and you go to the part where it says system update, and you just do the whole updates. And then it should be working again at that point. Okay?
Yeah, I mean, I even reset the network, did this, did that, because I only use mobile data because my Wi-Fi got hacked. So.
Oh, yeah, that's no good. I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, so I'm going to try that. I wanted to ask you, how do you completely alleviate Bluetooth?
You mean not have it anymore? You don't want it anymore?
Well, to get rid of it as much as possible.
Yeah, all you can do is disable it. You can't really, because it's built in to the phone, but you can go to your Bluetooth settings. Oops. And let's go to the Bluetooth settings.
It doesn't let you...
It doesn't let you turn it off?
Disable.
Oh, it doesn't, does it?
Force stop, and then it has all the permissions, and that's the way they got in. And, with the Bluetooth, I think it should have like a
So here's a button.
Password.
There is a way to turn. Yes, Bluetooth's not very secure. I agree with you. So here's the thing to do. So you're gonna go to connected devices, and you're gonna see all your Bluetooth devices. And you're going to then get info on the or connection preferences, I guess. And then you'll tap Bluetooth, and then there's a switch to turn it off, and you can just turn it off. And then it won't work anymore. Anything you use, like headphones or your car or whatever, that's not going to work anymore either.
Well, okay, let's see.
Might be a shortcut. Might be to long press the Bluetooth. No, you still have to do connection preferences and then Bluetooth and then turn it off.
Yeah, okay. Where is that? Because, it's turned off.
Yeah, so go to your, the quick settings. My phone's a little different than yours because I have a Pixel, but go to the quick settings. You'll see Bluetooth. You long press that. That's going to give you all your connected devices. At least on my phone, it may be different on yours. I see connection preferences, and that's where I can go to Bluetooth and turn off Bluetooth.
After that, it says, the Bluetooth is turned off, but what's happening is it would turn on by itself. I don't think I was turning it on. The hackers were doing it.
If you turn it off in the quick settings, just by tapping it, it will turn itself back on when you go to a new location. It acts as if, you just wanted to turn it off for the day. You have to go into settings to turn it off for more than just a day. So long press it in the quick settings. Go to connection preferences, Bluetooth, turn it off. Then it shouldn't come back on.
Well, people are getting in. That's because apparently it's a very low level signal to do that.
Oh, yeah. Bluetooth is not secure at all. Yeah. Make sure you do your updates on your phone. You're doing all the security updates?
It's up to the latest one is February.
Okay.
And there's one in April, but it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, of course, the main one has come out for Google phones, but other manufacturers and other phone companies are slower. But February's pretty good. That should protect you against any known Bluetooth problems out there. If you don't use Bluetooth, you should turn it off if you don't use it. Absolutely.
Well, I force stop it. Does that at the app?
Yeah, but I think it's going to turn itself back on because it's going to figure, oh, you didn't mean that. So find it. It's in the settings. So you have to dig around, but you'll find it.
No. Yeah.
You should. You force.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Good luck, Maria.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you called in. I have to run now, unfortunately.
Oh, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Take care of yourself.
See you. You too. Happy Mother's Day. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.